This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, good morning everybody, and welcome to another gloomy, dreary, dark start to our morning. It is still the same foul weather as we had yesterday, but at least at this stage it isn't raining on our heads, which is always a wonderful thing. Now, my name is Tristan. On camera I've got David, and we are coming to you out of South Africa's Greater Kruger National Park, more specifically the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. And what we're busy doing, and the reason why we're driving quite quickly, is because we're trying to catch up with one of the male lions that was seen on the dam cam just now, and so we don't know where he's gone from Twin Dams Road. I'm just trying to drive the road itself and try and pick up where he's gone and where he's moving to. He might have cut towards Philemon's Dip, in which case we might have to cut it along, so I'm just going to check when we get to Chelapan if his tracks are still going southwards. But remember, we are live, which means that you can interact, and I know lots of you have already, in the form of sending us updates that the Evoker boy or one of these male lions came in and disrupted Tingana on his kill and has been sitting around. So we do thank you for those of you that have, and if you're new to SafariLive and don't know how to do all of that, just do #SafariLive on Twitter or @FC on the YouTube chat. And if you do those things, well, then you could just send your question through, and if it's relevant to what we're seeing on the screen, then hopefully we will answer your question for you and you'll be able to hear your name live on the show. There we go. So that's how it works. What is that, David? Is that what we are looking for? I don't know. I just saw something in the bush here. I saw a behind. Could be an impala. No, it's a nyala. There we go. There's a nyala in the bush. So we're not going to shine on that. I somehow don't think this male lion must have walked here already. Well, hasn't been here already, because he's definitely not in the right area. Well, I mean, that nyala looks very relaxed, should I say. So I think maybe this lion has crossed off towards Philemon's Dip side. So I'm going to head that side now, just to try and figure out what's going on and try and pick it up. There's a little duiker. So lots and lots of animals here, which would indicate that this lion hasn't walked here. Generally, when lions walk past a road like this and they've got big booming roars, most of the animals scatter and will not be anywhere near where they are. Now, of course, we've got no light to work with, so this tracks is almost impossible, if I'm honest, and so we're going to try and see if we can find some sort of sign, maybe switch off and listen and see if he roars for us once again. Anyway, while we do that though, it's not just me, Brent is also out, so let's go across to him so he can say good morning.
Well, I'm not impressed with the morning. Things are just breaking. We had a hyena running past us at high speed that I was trying to keep up with, and stupid roofs are breaking. Let's try to fix them quickly, Seb. Yeah. And maybe we can hear that hyena was really exciting. By the way, my name is Brent Smith. I have Sebastian Romby on camera, and I am irritated because I couldn't keep up with the hyena because the roof came down. It keeps coming back. I'm actually trying to listen now in case that hyena is on its way to a kill. There's actually two of them. Seb's hitting one, I'm hitting the other. So, as you might have seen, the bungee broke. It's supposed to have hooks on both sides. It now only has hooks on one side. Okay, Sebastian and I are going to fix the roof quite quickly, and then we're going to try find that hyena that was galloping past us, hopefully on the way to a leopard kill. But in the meantime, let's send you back to Tristan.
Well, Brent, good luck. Hopefully you'll fix it, and luckily you didn't get hit in the face by your said bungee cable, because that wouldn't have been very pleasant at all. Now, we've checked at Chelapan there. It doesn't seem like there's any tracks that I can see. It's quite tricky in this light to actually see anything, to be honest. Even with the spotlights, it's not easy, and the roads are still quite hard, and so I didn't see anything there. But given the relaxed nature of that duiker and nyalas, and I really don't see that a male lion could have walked past here, even within the last sort of 15 minutes. You know, antelopes still are quite twitchy after that, and also wouldn't be as close to the road as what we just saw there. So I'm trying to now think if maybe he went towards Treehouse Dam. I'm just looking down the road here. just checking for any tracks itself. He wasn't at the dam cam very long ago, and so it should have been an easy, quick find, but for some reason the male lions on Djuma, as of the last year and a half, have been very tricky to actually find. Now, I thought I heard something. No, all quiet. So they've been quite tough in that they seem to just walk through this property from north to south within about 10 minutes. And Louise and I always joke that we call this the Djuma Gym for the male lions of the Sabi Sands, the Birminghams, and now the Evokers, where they just come through here, and it's like their morning run that they do. They just come along and they run through, and they're out before you can even get to them. So, you know, we're trying to just drive a quicker pace to see if I can find him and pick him up. Obviously, he might have lay up somewhere, or he might have even gone a different route altogether, but for now he should theoretically be coming out on one of these areas and should be around. Teddy, you say it was the limping lion on the dam cam. Well, if it was Limpy Lion, or Limpy Lou as we like to call him, then it should have been somewhere around here. I don't think he would have walked too far. You can see a giraffe is staring in this direction. Now Louise is bleating because we always call anything that limps Limpy Lou, which I'm not sure how it even came about. I think Louise one day had a bit of a limp, and then everyone made fun of her. And she's saying she doesn't even limp. Well, Louise, that's right. That's right. Louise is very, very upset about this because she says at one point Jamie saw a Nkahuma lion cub that had a limp, and they called it Limpy Lou because they named the cubs after all the directors, Louise, Kirsty and Jerry. Is that right, Louise? And she's never had a limp. She's protesting indefinitely that there has been no limp. So I mustn't say that she's got a limp because she doesn't have a limp. And so I'm sorry, Louise, but it's a nickname, well, that's caught fire, and now everything is Limpy Lou. Now this giraffe looks like it's staring quite intently, doesn't it? Should we go and investigate? I think we should. There's giraffe all over the place here. They spread out from one side of the road all the way to the other, but when giraffes stare, it can often be a good indicator that something is around. So I just want to quickly have a little look here. Oh, there's another giraffe. No wonder it's staring. Definitely not a lion. There's lots of giraffe actually. There's not just one, there's 3 of them coming out of there. Okay, so definitely no lion on this side of the world either. I wonder where he's gone. Must be on Ingwe Alley because we don't have any other kind of roads that he could have taken. I mean, obviously I can't see a track at all, to be honest with you. I'm trying to look for tracks, but it's very difficult at the moment, and with the hardened ground from the rain and the kind of lack of lights, it's becoming very difficult. Right, now I'm going to try and figure out where I can find this lion. While I do that though, let's send you back across to Brent, who seems to have gotten his roof under control, and hopefully that will be the last roof disaster for the morning.
I apologize about my temper tantrum this morning. It was very irritating because this hyena was coming past us at speed with her tail up, and now I don't know where the hyena went. I'm hoping the hyena went this way. My name is Brenda Smith. I have Sebastian Rombi from Gabon on the camera with me, and it is a cold, miserable, wet, windy morning, and I'm hoping that Hosanna is around, and I'm hoping he might have caught something, and that's what caused the hyena to sprint in this general direction. So there's tracks of Hosanna all around camp, so we're hoping he's not too far from camp, so we're having a look. For those of you who are dam cam aficionados, please keep a lookout to see if Hosanna appears down there. And I'm actually going to just stop. Let's just stop and listen for a second. See if we can hear what caused the hyena to go galloping off into the distance. I can hear a hyena whooping to the right. Around there. going to be so difficult for you guys to hear with this wind. Okay, well, it gives us a direction at least. We're going to head towards Zoe's and then down towards Rebecca's. Now, you know what, if the hyenas are whooping, it could be the lions that are causing the pandemonium. Maybe they've caught something and the hyenas are trying to steal it. As I was saying, it's a very grey, dreary, cold, miserable morning. I know, it's absolutely despicable, really, the weather can behave like this. It's supposed to be summer, not winter, and I didn't bring any of my winter clothes with me. I didn't bring my beanie, my gloves, my thick woolly scarves, my big jacket. So I'm just going to quietly freeze in search of animals today. But I do have my hot tea. Louise is trying to be funny. She's not. She says, I also have a rather impressive mane. Yes, thank you, Louise. I know, it's beautiful. You can. I know I'm the dominant male lion around here. It's just, it goes with the territory. The other males lack manes. It's quite sad for them. The male that lacks the mane the most is James Henry. Tristan gets an afro, starts looking like a sheep. What other males are in drive? Sebastian? David's got a mane, a curly mane, David Cameraman. But he's definitely not dominant. Shame, poor Dave. Sebastian says he's a silverback and grey, so good call. He's not going with the lion vibe, he's going with the gorilla vibe. Lion will eat a gorilla though, Sebastian. Just letting you know. Sydney, no mane. James, no mane. Tristan, fluffy mane. David Gitu, no mane. Steve, he's also grey. He's past his prime. I would go with a dispersal male, Steve. Who else have we got here, Sib? Craig is blonde. He's a little blonde boy, it's okay. No threat. Senzo, he's got half a mane. Yeah. Craig's like one of the evokers, says Louise. Senzo's only got half a mane, he doesn't count. Conrad, also fluffy, goes afro, no mane. Who else are we thinking about here now? Who's on leave?
Alex will also be one of the evokers.
Yeah, Alex, also blonde mane, evoker. No threat. Who else what other presenters do we have these days?
Jamie?
No, she's a lioness, it's okay. And she's my lioness, so when Genre, he's just too dirty to count. Natural oils are not a way to wash your hair. It doesn't matter how many times he tries to convince us. And also, it's like a young little male. It takes a few foot scrapes and the odd roar to chase Genre off. Who else are we thinking about here, Sebastian? Who's on leave? I can't even think who's on leave at the moment. I don't even know. Steph, no mane. Past prime. Like James, past prime. I'm not answering that question is all I'm going to say. So you'll all guess what the question is, but I refuse to answer. I plead I think it's called pleading the fifth or the fourth. Is it the fifth or the fourth? Fifth. It's pleading the fifth. Okay. So the hyenas were whooping and cackling just down here. While we do that, let's go to the fluffy afro-maned Tristan.
Fluffy afro-maned Tristan. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? Anyway, we found the tracks for this male line now. He's crossed over into the block on our left. We heard a roar coming from here too. So now it's just about kind of either checking one more time to see if he comes out, or actually going into that block and kind of finding him if he's lying down. But I think he's still moving, because generally when lions are still roaring, it's often an indication that they're still walking. So we're going to try and see if we can find him in amongst all of this monkey orange. Brent is, I don't think that very, well, he doesn't look like he's very far away. When I saw his lights earlier, it looked like he was on the kind of one side of quarantine. So I wonder if he's not, well, hyenas and the cackling and whooping, maybe he's attracting this male lion as well to wherever they are. Now, he's on Aubrey's at the moment. Okay, so he's gone a little bit further than what I thought. He might be heading off towards the den, but the last time I saw him was on quarantine, so I thought maybe we're in the same area. But this male lion is definitely inside here, like I say. So he's just gone to the Balanites junction. Okay, well that's alright. He's still quite far from us at this stage, but there's definitely, this lion is inside here. Like I say, it's roared and we found where the tracks are, but if he's mobile, he might already be quite far through the block, and therefore quite tricky for me to find him from this side. So I'd rather go around to Ingwe Alley side, which I just drove, to see if I can kind of spot him in that area. Now, we also had last night a visitor that's kind of walked around and through and kind of showed himself. I'm sure he was looking around for old James. Apparently he walked past the kind of camp, and that was old Hosanna. So I wonder where he is this morning. If we don't come right to this line, then maybe we'll get lucky, or maybe Brent's hyenas are going to lead him towards where Hosanna is making noise. I can see Brent, he's far to my western side at the moment. It looks like he's on Rebecca's Road. You'll just see some lights in the distance. That's Brent Leo Smith, that is waving his mane in the wind like he doesn't care, and hopefully he'll find what he's looking for. But still no sign of these lions. They should have popped out somewhere here where we are now with this male. This is kind of the direction that he was came through on a big game path. And that game path basically runs in the direction that we're heading right now. It should pop out somewhere close by to this termite mound, and so he theoretically, if he stayed on that game path, should also come out around here. Oh, Patrick, what is the longest reign of a territory for a lion coalition? Are we talking just in the Sabi Sands, Patrick, or in general? But I mean, if we're talking in general, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. In terms of the Sabi Sands, general question, not sure, to be honest. I would imagine there's some places. In fact, actually, I would think that there was a male lion in the Pilansberg who died at the age of like 18 or something stupid like that, or 19 even, and so his reign must have been, as far as I understand it, almost 13 years, which is the lifespan of most of the Sabi Sands lion, which is pretty crazy. But I'd imagine he's up there. In terms of Sabi Sands, Majingalands have got to be one of the better ones. I mean, their reign was almost 8 years that they were out here and kind of dominant within this area. So, you know, they did very, very well, and it's a long, long time for a male lion coalition to be dominant. So I think they must be one of the longer ones. There might be way back when, before my time, that there was ones that were longer, or in some other areas, you never know. Probably in places with low lion density, you might find males that do a lot longer than that and are able to kind of, you know, spend the vast majority of their life as dominant if there's not many other males competing with them in those areas. But that's very few places that are not wild. So if you go to areas that potentially are fenced off game reserves, that where animals have been placed, well, then it's different, because often there is only one male lion and he can last for a long period of time. But we're talking about kind of natural systems, and most natural systems with lions will have quite a few lions in it, and therefore quite a lot of competition, and so the reigns of those males tends to be much shorter than that of something maybe in, like I say, an area where lions have been placed and there's not huge prides. Patrick, I have heard of the Duba boys in Botswana. What their rain sort of period was, I can't tell you, but I have actually heard of them. I do know who you're talking about. They seem to have kind of been around for quite a while too. So beautiful lines, those two. I've seen lots and lots of photos of them. They really are pretty boys. Now, where is this line? He should have popped out of here by now already. I mean, given where the tracks were, unless he's stationary inside that block. So what we might do is then just go back to those tracks and kind of drive through on them, but I'll be annoyed if we drive through all the way onto this side. Anyway, while we do that, it sounds like Sydney's out on his bushwalk, and so let's send you across to him to say good morning.
I have got a very lovely clear track here. I can see that someone has been here, and this looks like a cat. You can see the first lobe, second lobe, and the third lobe. So probably this might have been Hosanna last night. A very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of the guided walk. I am Sydney from Niconico. I am with my game scout Herbert, as well as Senzo, my camera operator. Hopefully you are all going to enjoy the experience this morning. For your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. My plan this morning is quite very easy. I will be looking for the tiny little stuff just to see after the rain if the insects are excited already. Oh, look at that, Senzo. We are very lucky with some big animals here. I can see there are some wildebeest feeding there together with the impalas and also some nyalas nearby. This is what is called a safety in number. When the different species are feeding together, they all benefit with regards to the safety, as some of them can be able to hear, or as those who cannot hear can see very well, and who cannot see very well can smell very well. It's a very good combination. So they are all very much relaxed at the moment. So I don't think they've got to worry, as the weather is overcast. It's not sunny at all. And the grass, it is still very, very moisturized. So they are feeding nicely this morning. It's not that wet, as the wind is blowing at the moment. It's drying all the grass, but this is better. Half of bread is better than nothing. The little rain we have received yesterday, I think, made a very huge difference. So now, while I am checking for some of the interesting creatures, let's go to Brent and hear what Brain is up to at the moment. Brent is up to at the moment.
Hello. We couldn't keep up with the hyena, unfortunately. It gave us the slip. So we're trying to decide where we're going to go next. What we are going to do is check the hyena den sites at Philemon's Dip. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, is that hyenas will have different natal dens from the communal den. So I'm going to go check the den at Philemon's quickly. It might be a natal den. Oh, it's so cold, as you might see. We're not going to see a sunrise today, so I decided to be the sunrise in my bright orange and yellow shuka. Okay, well, there's quite a few hyena tracks here. Now, that's not uncommon for hyenas just to check the den, you know. Oh, how's this neck of the woods, you know? Is the neighborhood all right? Is it rubbish? Are there fleas here? It doesn't actually, let me go, whoa, there's a problem. That tree has fallen over the road. But what I was going to say is it actually doesn't look like anything's using it. Especially after the rain, we'd be able to see quite obvious scuff marks at the den entrance, which there are none. Oh, lion roaring. Tristan, line audio. He's right there. He's not far at all. He's very, very close. Now I know Tristan's looking for that male line. I can hear the lion roaring, and I can hear Tristan trying to drive through the bushes towards it. You know what would be really funny? If we just drove down Weaver's Nest and waited for the lion to come to us while Tristan tries to off-road to it. No, I won't do that to Tristan. Shame. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to head back towards quarantine. And see if we can find any sign of Hosanna. If we don't, I think we'll head towards the hyena den on Aubrey's Road, see if anything's happening there. Oh. It is so cold! But, as I said, I will be your sunrise this morning. I will be your sunshine in my bright orange and yellow shuka and my hot cup of tea. There's Tristan there. You can see Tristan's lights. You see him, Seb?
I saw him just now. No, I can't.
Right, let's maybe go forward a bit. Oh, you got him?
Yeah.
There's Tristan. In the thickets, looking for that male lion who just called. Now I wonder, the fact that he is stopped means I think Tristan has found the lion.
Indeed we have, Brenty. Also, you can see Brenty obviously can see where I am, and so he would have known. But there is one of our Evoker boys who is looking ever so good, if I'm honest, considering he's got the limp. I believe it's him that's limping. And so considering the limp that he's got, he's looking quite healthy and kind of well fed. I mean, he's obviously typical male lion on his own, and there is a bit of kind of skinniness around the hip area, but he looks alright. I mean, his tummy doesn't look too kind of small at this stage. Difficult to make it out completely, but coat looks in good condition. You can see that one hip slightly sticking out a little bit, which you often see when male lions are on their own, but the coat condition is very good. His mane looks good, so you know, he's doesn't look like he's struggling too much, even though he is limping. And it's amazing how the manes are developing on these guys. You can see he's got that kind of blonde feel to it at the moment, and there is some darkening that's going to start taking place on the sort of chest area. What's been interesting to note is how this guy has been around here quite a bit. We've been seeing a lot of signs of him, and obviously we've seen him a few times recently, whereas the other two don't seem to be spending very much time on Djuma at all. You very seldom actually see their tracks. It just kind of seems like this guy is the one that's kind of crossing back and forth at this stage, kind of looking around, but he's facing to the sort of south west, which is where, you know, Brent has been looking around for hyenas. I can hear hyenas calling from the side in that direction, and so this male lion is also kind of looking that way. And I wonder if maybe there's something that's on the sort of, well, on the go, that he's also listening out. He's being very vocal. I've heard him roar twice in the last little bit, and so I wonder if he's just either trying to find the rest, or he kind of can hear things that he's trying to just impose himself and dominate. And you know, these guys really, with the amount of roaring that they've done and the amount of walking around here with no response from the Birminghams, is pretty safe to say, I would imagine, that the Birminghams are not going to be coming back here anytime soon at this stage, and that the Evokers are going to kind of keep moving around and keep kind of trying to stake their claim. And eventually, you know, the Nkumas and the likes, the Sticks and Torchwoods and Telematis, are all going to have to give in to that fact and eventually be part of this kind of coalition. Now, you can see there's that limp that we're talking about. See, I mean, he could do with a bit of a meal, but he does still look healthy. Are you going to give us a roar, boy? I'm hoping he's going to. Often when lions start moving, they will roar as well. Not quite as kind of predictable as a leopard. A leopard, often you'll find, will roar when it moves. So somebody like Tingana, when he's moving around, he's often sawing quite a bit, whereas lions, they will do it lying down as well as walking about. But he's definitely kind of looking around now and listening almost. There's a bit of a wind in the air, as we can tell with the kind of the way that his mane is sort of blowing about. And I'm hoping that's going to give a roar for us. It's been so long since we've had a roaring lion out of Djuma on camera, so I'm hoping that that will be the case. But his limp is much better than the last time I saw him. I mean, that back leg is still a little bit swollen. Let's see, no, he's now lying down again. I wouldn't be surprised that he does. I mean, he hasn't let out any small kind of contact calls to indicate that he might, but you never know with male lions. They sometimes just belt it out of nowhere, and it can be a very difficult or tricky thing to be able to predict. But I'm hoping he's got one more roar in him for the morning. He's still very alert and very kind of awake, and ears are moving all over the place, and so I'm hoping that's going to mean we're going to hear something out of him shortly. Are you going to roar for us? Linda, you say he roared 5 times on the dam cam. Yes, unfortunately, or fortunately, or unfortunately, depending which way you want to look at it, but fortunately, because for me, I like the sound of a lion roaring, but the dam cam is very close to camp, and therefore when these guys decide that they're going to belt it out the way that they do, it often just sends everybody kind of bolt upright and awake, and so definitely kind of heard it and picked it up and woke up from it. It's a weird thing. It's one of those sounds that's much like a leopard saw. When you hear them lying kind of, or when you're sleeping and you bolt sort of upright and you try to work out exactly where it's coming from so that you're able to try and kind of figure out where it is so that you can find it later. But he definitely did hear most of those roars this morning, and so hopefully, like I say, we'll get one on the camera, because it's quite something when these guys roar. I'm going to just try and move a little bit because that stick is right in his face at the moment, so I'm going to try and just find a bit of a better spot here that we can go through. Now we've got to be careful because we're in Rusty and we mustn't scratch Rusty. We've been told that Rusty now is clean and new and fresh and all painted and looking much better than what it used to. We need to keep it in good condition, and so I have to pay attention to where I'm driving. It's why Brent is not allowed to drive Rusty. No, it's not the real reason. I'm joking. Brent is scared to drive Rusty because he thinks he's going to scratch it, so he's staying on Wendy for now. Little does he know that we're about to do Wendy and Jigger too the same way, and so he's going to have no choice but to drive all of them at some point and look after them and not scratch them or dent them as in previous times. He says it's impossible to follow wild dogs without denting a car, and so hopefully the wild dogs don't come through when he does get into Rusty, because otherwise there will be scratches and dents that will take place. But our lion is still, like I say, looking southwest. I don't know what he's hearing. His ears have been quite firmly fixed in that direction. Can't hear any other lions roaring from that side or any kind of sound or audio that would suggest that he's got to be very interested. He's just seems to be kind of a bit fixated. Maybe the Nkumas have been that side and roaring. Hello, beautiful boy. Look at that little yellow mane that you've got. It's going to have to darken quite a bit until he's really kind of seen by the ladies as a dominant individual and one that needs to be kind of, looked after and to go and mate with. So there's obviously been lots of studies on that, and it's deemed that the darker maned males are more attractive to the females than these lighter blonder mane. And even the reaction of blonde mane lions towards dark mane lions is quite interesting. They often cower away from the dark mane lions, and that's generally because dark maned males have testosterone that floods through their body, and that makes these guys well, generally a bigger dominant male, and black mane indicates strength and power, and so the blonde mane guys are often a little bit kind of wary of that and a bit nervous of it. But you can see he's still quite wide-eyed. I don't know if he's convinced about our roof at the moment, and so we'll kind of sit here and try and see if he'll get used to it. And while we do that, though, let's send you back across to Sydney on walk, and if he roars, we'll come right back.
I have got two different tracks here on the ground. It's showing that the cat has been here, and this probably has been Hosanna, and I can see the tracks of the hyenas following here, and these are very much fresh tracks. What I'm going to do now is to go in these bushes and see what Hosanna is up to. Maybe these hyenas are hoping for something. Let's just try and see what is happening there. So all the tracks went down towards these thick bushes. What I like about this morning is that the leaves, they are all very much quiet because they are not dry. Everything is moisturized. Some old buffalo droppings here. So it did not rain much. You can see that the rain couldn't even manage to penetrate the buffalo droppings to the bottom. Here it is still very much dry. You can see the dust blowing. So this is showing that it was not a lot of rain. So this dropping is still very, very much hard. And no dung beetles are up yet. They are not yet convinced, dung beetles, with this kind of rain we have received. So only a little bit of frogs last night has been spotted somewhere near the staff quarters. So it means some of the animals, some of these small things are yet convinced, whereas some are not yet. So I am now with the Herbert checking the direction of these tracks, the hyenas and the hosannas, where they're going. No movement of any of the small insects at the moment. Everything is just quiet. They're just all hiding at the moment. So now let's go back to Brent, who is driving at the moment, and see what he's having.
Well, I'm looking for Hosanna, which has always been my plan. This is where we actually turned around when the hyena came sprinting past us. I've just been chatting to Herbie, obviously, who's on foot with Sydney, and he said the tracks are heading north in this block to the west of us. I'm going to throw a little gamble and head towards Gallagher Pad. I think Hosanna might have gone that way. Now, there's something very strange happening today. It's almost worth the Ghostbusters song. There's something strange in the neighborhood. And for most people who know me well, the something strange in the neighborhood is the fact I'm wearing closed shoes and long pants. That's how cold it is. Closed shoes and long pants, which I do not do very often. It is unpleasantly cold. It has to be for me to put on long pants. 9 times out of 10 you will find me in sandals and shorts. I might have a shooker or two on, but sandals and shorts. But this morning it was aggressively cold enough for me to put on long pants to start the drive. And socks, yes, Carol. I don't wear socks often either, so I'm even wearing socks. I don't want my toes to get cold. There we go. Now, hey, do you want to see something funny about these socks? Now, these socks tells you how often I wear socks and how many pairs of socks I have. Okay, wait. I think there should still be a name tag from boarding school. These are my boarding school socks. Well, they might have been my brother's. I might have stolen them from my brother. Yes, I stole them from my brother. So there we go. There's a name tag from boarding school. Leo Smith Dillon, my little brother, 418. My laundry number was 462. I still remember that. So if your clothes did not have a name tag at boarding school like this, they didn't get washed.
Is that boarding school or jail?
Boarding school, jail, same thing, Sebastian, same thing. Well, actually, this, you never know. This sock might be one of mine. This sock might be one of mine, not one of my brothers. I mean, who has socks this long in this day and age, apart from Senzo, of course? Now let's have a look. There we go. Check. That one's me. Leo Smith B 462. So I've got one of my brother's socks and I've got one of my socks. So yes, I mean that is how unusual it is for me to wear socks. So at boarding school we used to have to wear these. We used to fold them over like this, and we used to have to wear a garter inside to make sure they didn't fall down. And if they, if my leg was getting tight, if they fell down, the prefects, actually, I'll give you a South African all-boys boarding school prefect impression. Let me unclip. So I would be walking off to class, you know, carrying my books, being very, very happy with life in general, as I normally am. And my sock, all by itself, because I used to lose garters, would start falling down, and it would be about there. And off I would go to class, and I'd get, Leo Smith, what is happening with your socks? This is unacceptable. And I'd be like, sorry, what? My sock is falling down. I didn't realize that the world was about to collapse. All boys boarding schools are full of the most absolutely ridiculous rules. And then generally, if your sock was falling down like that, what would happen to you is you would get punished. And we used to get a horrible punishment called showings. Now, showings basically meant that you had to 8 times a day present yourself in front of a prefect in your uniform, and if there was a speck of dirt or a mark or a hole or a rip or a tear, in your clothes, you would fail. And if you had to do it 8 times a day, and basically it worked out because of class and etc. If you failed twice, you have to do it again. And if you failed, then you would get punished even more, because your showings would turn into reverse showings. And reverse showings meant, so our normal school uniform during the day was a khaki shirt, khaki shorts, ridiculous long socks, and shoes. But reverse showings means you had to wear your number ones. And your number ones was white shirt, tie, grey pants, black shoes, and a blazer. So reverse showings meant that during the time of the day that you were supposed to be wearing your shirt, shorts, and your khaki shirt and shorts, you would now all of a sudden have to run and change into your number ones, which is your blazer, tie, grey pants, black. And then when you're supposed to wear your number ones, which we used to have to wear every night for dinner, etc., we had to wear a tie and jacket and whatnot for dinner every night, and you'd have to show after dinner time, etc., you would have to then change out of your number ones and put your khakis back on. Boarding schools and all boys boarding schools have some ridiculous rules that unfortunately still to this day have not moved back into the 18th century where they belong. Kristen said, did I go to Hogwarts? No, Kristen, I went to quite a fancy school in South Africa called Hilton College. Now, of course, James Henry also went to one of those types of schools, but he likes putting on a tie. So I heard a Franklin alarm. There we go. Just went. We've got squirrels alarming, Franklin alarming. I think Hasana is close by. I'm actually going to take a quick walk to check in the river system to see if Hasana is here. While we do that, let's send you back to Tristan and the poor limping Avoca.
Well, yes, he is a bit limpy, but he's okay. He's not actually too bad. Seems like he's walking slightly better than the last time I saw him, which is good news. But I'm a bit perturbed and also completely in awe of Brent Leo Smith, in two reasons for that. The sort of disturbing part is that he is wearing 15-year-old socks, or even older, because his brother is older than I am, which means that he was at school a long time ago, and so those socks cannot be in a good state at all. They must be foul socks by now. 15 years of socks is not a good thing, especially if they've been on Brent Leo Smith's feet for 15 years. The second thing is in the awe part about all of this is I want to know from Brent Leo Smith how on earth he managed to keep socks for 15 years out in the bush, because quite frankly socks out here seem to be a commodity that are traded, or they have their life of their own where they go and have parties, because to keep a pair of socks, particularly in the Wild Earth camp, is almost impossible. Seriously, it is difficult. Every 5 minutes socks seem to go missing, and you never seem to be able to find them again. They just go into the kind of, I don't know where they head off to, but they go to a sock island where everybody kind of has a big party. So I don't know how he's managed to keep his pair of socks for that long, because that is quite, I suppose they're not a pair of socks, is it? It's just an individual sock, which I suppose is part of the kind of thing. There's also what happens with socks is you'll never lose both socks. You'll lose one of the pair. No, he's going to keep quiet. He's going to roar. It was very half-hearted. Is that all you're going to give us? So it seems like it's almost just a contact call for now. Let's see if anything replies, and that might lead him to start roaring properly again. But often what happens with these male lions is they start like this and then eventually they warm up. He definitely was giving full-blooded booming roars just now. It's how we actually found him eventually, is because we could hear him roaring right next to us and kind of spotted him through the thickets. But I'm hoping he's going to give us a little bit more than that. Maybe he was just agreeing with the sock story. Let's see, it looks like he might give us something. Come on, boy. Give us a proper roar. And now it seems as though he's not going to, is it? No. Come on, boy. No, for now is going to be alright. I'm going to carry on talking, because maybe if I talk, then he'll actually decide to let one out and to kind of roar and give us a proper show of it. But as I was saying with socks, is you never really lose one. You'll always lose both. You'll always lose one, which is highly irritating. Now, sorry, Louise, the wind is blowing quite badly. I just heard Carol, but I didn't hear the whole question. So if you can repeat that for me. So, Carol, to be honest, I have absolutely no idea. We see these guys so little that I can't tell you really what he's been doing and whether or not he's been by himself since he's been injured. I would suspect no. I do recall, actually, just after we saw him, when he had that incident with Tingana, when they ran into each other, that he was then, I think, seen with one of his coalition members and one of the Torchwood or Talamati females, if I remember correctly, and then he's been seen a couple times, I think, with some of the females. So I don't think he's been on his own that whole time. He certainly has fed in that period, because otherwise he would be emaciated by now if he hadn't. And so he's obviously found himself some sort of food since we last saw him, which is good news. It's obviously going to get a lot tougher for our animals in the next few weeks or months. The male lions in particular, they're going to have to work a lot harder to find the food that they need. Summer's always much harder on lions. You tend to see that they kind of lose weight a little bit, and the reason for that is that the animals get a lot stronger and fitter and faster and healthier, and that makes life a little bit more tricky for our big boys, particularly if they're spending a lot of time on their own, to be able to hunt things down and find food. And so I'm hoping that he'll join up with his coalition partners, and probably by this, the kind of mid to end summer, these guys should surely be well entrenched in this area and should be starting to kind of mate with the females from the Nkuhuma pride in particular. I mean, those females now, the cubs are starting to get quite old and will soon be considered kind of members of the pride rather than just offspring, and those estrus cycles will start to kick in. And the oldest lioness, maybe she might not, but she should have one more set of cubs in her, and then the rest of them all should be mating. And we know obviously Amber Eyes and the youngest female don't have cubs at the moment, so they should be in estrus cycles fairly regularly to be able to start mating. And whether they're going to travel further south towards where the Birmingham boys are, or if they're going to stick around here with these guys, it remains to be seen. He's got an icy glare, doesn't he, this boy? Not a firm fan of our roof at all. There's a little flap on our roof that is just sort of fluttering in the breeze, and he's not a fan of it at all. He keeps looking at it, so we'll have to tie that up at some point so that it doesn't irritate him any further. We don't really want to make him kind of annoyed, but there's definitely something about these boys that they're still not that comfortable with the kind of presence of vehicles in this area. And it's not that I think that they're unrelaxed animals, but they definitely are very aware of when vehicles find them, and it's probably because it's still quite tentative in this area. I'm sure that they kind of still move around here in the hope that they're going to not bump into others, and they're still marking and roaring, and for me it almost seems as though they're half expecting another male to arrive at some point and try and chase them again. So I think that's why when vehicles find them, they get a little bit kind of, what's going on? Is there any other male lions approaching? Particularly a male like this on his own that's got a bit of a limp, he'll feel a little bit more insecure about things, and so he's quite wide-eyed half the time when vehicles are driving around him. And like I say, he's very unconvinced by the fact that we have a little roof and this aerial that sticks out the back. I suppose we look like an oversized warthog to him, which must be quite scary. Imagine warthogs the size of our Land Rovers. That wouldn't be a pleasant thing to take on, especially for a cat, because I think it would yes, definitely teach cats a few lessons. Right, now we'll sit with him. Hopefully he's going to warm up his vocal cords. I somehow suspect that he's not, but while we wait and see, let's send you back across to Bushwalk.
I am right on top of the tracks at the moment. I am keep following Hosanna, who seems to be doing some hunting activities here where I am. Still following. Maybe we might be lucky and come across these hunting activities this morning. So hyenas are also still following. So they are hoping to get something, because yesterday I saw they were looking for something by Tingana's kill, but they were not very lucky. They were just picking up small bits of meat lying on the ground. Tristan, I'm not very sure if Tingana is still in the area, but considering the size of the kill, I can tell that Tingana is still somewhere hanging there. His stomach was so full yesterday, so he might be somewhere around the dam area. So look at this, I've got something here. If you can check the height, you will see that this animal is one of the big animals. But how this branch is chewed, you can also tell from what animal was this. So this is from the largest land mammal, is the elephants. If you can check, there is a very big difference between how the elephants chew compared to the small grazers and the small browsers. If you check the kudus, how they eat, they slide the jaws like this. And the elephants, they don't slide the jaws. They grind forwards, backwards, forward, backwards. So that's why if you can check here, you will see that this elephant, how it was chewing us like, I can't chew forward, backwards, but I can only have this branch right here, but forward, it's quite a very difficult exercise. So these big animals, that is how they feed. And this is one of the Vachelia trees, one of the acacia trees. So the acacia trees are one of the favorite when it comes to the big animals because they are very rich in terms of the proteins. These kind of trees, they contain about 8% of protein, whereas the grasses only contain 4%. So that's why these big animals, that's why they go after these kind of acacias as well as the sickle bushes, the thorn and the spine trees, because they are following that kind of protein in order to move the big body size. So now let's go back to Brent and see how his search is going.
Well, we're working just to the north of Sydney, and the tracks are heading towards the north. So what we're going to do is we're going to head towards Gallagher Shortcut and then head down towards there. Well, there's Hasana Food. No Hasana, but... Oh, no, no, don't run. Don't you dare run. It's going to run. Little female grey duiker. Oh, she's being very, very cooperative. Not dashing into the distance. Oh, you hear that, Seb? Yeah, alarm calls. Okay, hold on. Herbie. It sounds like Nongo alarming on that shortcut off Gallagher shortcut. Okay, so Sydney and Herbie are quite far away, but those kudu sound like they're alarming not too far in front of us. But while we are bouncing our way and rushing, oh, nearly lost my hat, towards where those alarm calls are. Yes. Now, Sebastian and I were talking about it. I actually think that maybe Seb and I are the only two people left who actually went to proper boarding school. And I'm not talking about these people who, I went to boarding school 2 nights a week and then went home to mommy every other night. We actually went to boarding school in a different country from where we lived. And there are some archaic rituals in a lot of boarding schools, wherever they are. Seb, can you tell me any weird rules that you used to have in your French boarding school in France?
You had to wear slippers all the time inside, like in the bedroom.
So you had to wear slippers in France, apparently.
You couldn't be barefoot, basically, that's what I mean.
You were not allowed to be barefoot. That's ridiculous. Okay. Let's hope it's on the other side of the drainage. That's a kudu. Oh! It's getting very upset. No, when you hear, no, it's this side of the drainage. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This side, not on the other side. Okay, so we're gonna go in here. Okay, so we'll discuss boarding schools and the ridiculousness of them a little bit later. In the meantime, I actually can't hear who I'm supposed to link to, but we're going to Tristan, I assume.
Well done, Brent Leo Smith. Indeed, you are coming to me, and Brent and boarding schools does make me chuckle. He gets very feisty about it and has a lot of things to say, and so you're all in for a treat. It sounds like Brent Leo Smith is in fine form this morning and is talking about everything and has got his chatty pants on because he really is quite talkative. I wish, though, that our Voca boy had some chatty pants on because, as you can see, things have not gone well at all. He's now got gone sleepy, and he let out one little squeak and then put his head down. So it was a half kind of, not even a contact call, like I say, he just sounded like a squeaky toy, and then kind of put his head down, is now falling asleep quite steadily. There are a few other vehicles that are going to roll through here, so maybe with the movement of others that might kind of promote some sort of movement from him, but it's typical that he would not roar once we find him. I mean, he's roared all morning, and then we find him and now he goes quiet, which can be frustrating. Maybe tonight he'll roar for all of us and we'll actually get him making a bit of a noise, but it can be a bit frustrating when lions do this. You know, you find them by their roar, and then when you get to them, then they decide no, they're not going to say anything anymore, which can always be a little bit annoying. But you can see, just kind of looking around, he's just watching the vehicles as they sort of rotate through. There's, you know, taxi's going to be leaving now, and then there's another vehicle coming in, and so that's why there's this kind of bit of rotation that you sort of see. Jackie, very difficult to tell when he's about to roar, if I'm honest with you. It's not easy with these guys at all. Lions sometimes just start getting kind of going and then they let it out. But just now when you heard his kind of that low noise that they make, they often warm up to a roar. So it starts out with a and then they kind of get higher and higher, and eventually then the full-blooded roar comes out. So that's sometimes an indication, but it's very tricky. I mean, to know exactly when a lion's going to roar is not an easy thing at all, and you often kind of miss the beginning of it. They're a little bit better than leopards. Leopards are the worst with that kind of stuff, because leopard will just let it out without even any warning whatsoever, whereas these guys at least warm up into the main part of the roar, so you generally can find them kind of starting to actually roar properly, and well, you start to hear the roar, and then you can actually hear them roaring properly by just giving it a bit of a chance. But there's a lot of movement going on here for some reason. I don't really know why it's taking so long for one of the vehicles to get in here, but it is. A male lion's just watching this with this kind of head down, thinking to himself, well, here's what it is, I'll just watch the ongoings of people. And I suppose it must be weird for an animal. They kind of just sit here and these random things come in and out, look at them and then go again, and there's lots of noise and clicks and shouting and carrying on. Well, not shouting, but kind of talking, and they just leave them alone. It must be an odd thing to be an animal and kind of watch this going up and down and seeing kind of people moving in and out and cars kind of driving around them. They must think we're a completely weird bunch that we come in and just kind of look at them and then leave them alone for most of the day and then come back and look at them again later in the day. But he's at least got his head up once more. The way that he's contact calling is almost as if he's trying to sort of find another lion. So I wonder if maybe there's not another one somewhere on Djuma that he's kind of softly calling to. There was a big roar earlier. As we know, he roared a few times kind of through the sort of early hours of this morning. So I don't know, it's interesting. He's kind of surprised that he's just letting out those soft calls. I would have thought he would have kind of done a proper roar, and that would have been the end of it. Yes, Louise, he was making a lot of noise this morning. When I was getting ready to come down to work at around 4 o'clock, he was quite vocal about life, and certainly was not shy about shouting who exactly he is and where he is. So I'm surprised now that those little soft calls are being kind of used. Like I say, it could be that there's another one fairly close by even. He keeps kind of looking in the same direction, and every time he called just now, he would look over his shoulder towards this area. So I don't know, maybe not. It's difficult to say. You can see he's now just decided he's going to kind of put his head down. Does he not look a bit miserable? He does. So he looks as though he's thoroughly unimpressed with this weather and this morning. At least he's not lying in the sun and being baked by 40-degree heat, given that, you know, it should be like that. Oh, there go the hips now. He's starting to go. I reckon you're going to find shortly that this male is going to kind of flop onto his side. You can see his hips have gone a little bit kind of out from underneath him. At one point he was sitting, his kind of hips were underneath his legs were straight underneath his body, but now he's kind of pushed his legs out to the side, and that's the first step in him starting to kind of have a bit of a snooze, and the next thing is going to be the head and shoulders are just going to flop to the ground, and that will be the end of that for the day. He'll then lie here for most of the day. The interesting thing with these guys is that they will sometimes kind of talk and roar when they're lying down, so it's not always a write-off, but it's getting later in the morning, and the chances of him roaring now is starting to get less and less and less and less, and given especially that he's starting to kind of drop his head down, it's probably in all likelihood going to mean that he is going to start kind of having a good nap. But first, before he naps, he's just checking everybody out, making sure he poses nicely for all those on the other side that have just repositioned and are looking at him, and then he'll probably kind of start to nap. But look at the ears. When a lion sleeps, you'll often find the ears are kind of twisted back like that, and then they'll move and shift all the time. Even though their eyes are closed, the ears themselves are still working quite a bit, and they'll be very aware of their surroundings through listening, even with a closed set of eyes in a semi kind of dozy state. Kimmy, no. Lions will not bring food to other lions that can't hunt. They're not that kind of tightly bound socially. Lions will move and find food as they need and when they need, and then you'll find that they kind of will sometimes wait for a lion if he's a bit, or she, depending on what the circumstance is, will kind of catch up, and that will be okay for a bit. But if the injury starts to get worse and they get weaker and they're not helping with hunting and they're slowing them down, particularly males, they've got patrolling to do, they've got to make sure that they keep everything kind of safe and secure, they often will then leave that one member behind. And I'm pretty sure that's what's happening with him, is that he just can't keep up with his brothers, and so he just kind of falls off the back for a bit, and then the roaring takes place, then he kind of catches up with them again, and it'll be in and out within the coalition. Right, now Brent Leo Smith has been following tracks this morning and alarm calls, and it sounds like he's found what he's looking for.
We have indeed. Look at it. It is a stupid leopard, but a very lovely leopard. It is Hosanna, who is being a bit of a clown. I really enjoy spending time with this leopard. He is an absolute idiot, but he is the best kind of idiot. What are you doing? I think he's actually putting his face in some buffalo dung at the moment. He ate a little bit of it earlier. Now, leopards will actually quite often eat buffalo feces, and what they do is they eat it to try and get some probiotics, basically the same as human beings would eat pills for probiotics to help fix their tummy. Oh, there we go. He's been rolling around like an absolute clown. No, don't look that way. That's a bad way. That is away from where we can go. Let's just stay this side. Oh, I do love this leopard so much. Hosanna, what are you doing, you silly, silly kitty? Yeah, stupid. Yes, right way. Now, actually, one thing that Sebastian and I were talking about, so I just took a picture of Hosanna's side profile, and while he's growing, I think his side profile looks a lot like his mother. Oh, must I move it a bit? There we go. I mean, I know his neck is obviously thicker and whatnot, but his side profile really looks like his mom, Karula. You can see her genetics coming through there. Okay, let's keep up with him. Yeah, keep coming, Tux. He's slowly mobile towards the drainage off Mvubu, but we're on the crest in between the two drainages at the moment. You will see us from the fire break. So I'm just letting Taxon know on the radio, oh, bouncy, bouncy, where exactly Hosanna is. And Tristan is correct. I don't want to drive Rusty since it's had its makeover, even though Rusty is traditionally my car. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? You stupid cat. He suddenly just leapt into the tiniest tree and then fell out of it and then ran away. Sorry, the pole's in the way. But he just jumped into the tree for no reason. What are you doing, silly boy? And now you try to pose. I'm actually a very regal male leopard. I don't fall out of trees. Look at me. I'm standing on the pole and I'm looking intently into the distance. I didn't just fall out of a tiny bush willow tree. Now, young male leopards, as much as I love big males and females and cubs, but young male leopards around Hasana's age, for me, are the greatest quality leopard viewing you can ever have, because they are busy and they do stupid stuff like fall out of trees. Now, he reminds me a little bit of one of his half-brothers, Kunyuma, who used to climb up the most ridiculous trees. Tweety Kid says he is a source of endless joy. Now that is something I agree with wholeheartedly. He is a source of absolute joy and endless absolute joy. And I plan to take advantage of all the time I can spend with Mr. Hasana. Now, as you can see, now for me, I'm probably going to get into a little bit of trouble for saying this. As soon as I see a safari vehicle, a game drive vehicle that doesn't have dents and scratches in it, when I go to a safari lodge, I basically sit there and go, oof, no dents, no scratches. These guys must have terrible game viewing. So I'm very lucky in the fact that I grew up working for my dad, and my dad gave the guides complete carte blanche to scratch, dent, and do whatever you could to a vehicle to keep up with animals. And his motto was, you can fix a vehicle, but you can't fix a bad safari experience. And I agree with that. But now, since Rusty's had its makeover, I don't want to go near it, because I don't want to scratch it, dent it. I will stick with the scratched and dent vehicles. And that means I can do what I need to do to follow the animals. Okay, I'm going to try to keep up with our little chief. While we do that, let's go see what Sydney is up to and where he is.
I am having something very much interesting here. Shortly after Hosana has just been spotted ahead of me, we were very, very close to find Hosana, but Brent was very lucky to get him first. I've got an old snake skin here. I'm not too sure what was the species, but I can promise you this is very much medicinal. Let me just see if I can. I'll put it back. Look at this. So if you come and take this and boil it, you can use that water as an eye wash. It will help you with the eye infections, and it also clears the clouds in the eyes. And you can also use this in order to clean the throat sores. When you've got problems by the throat, you use that. And also, in order to boost the body, you can use this to build the strength. This is what we are also using in order to boost the strength for those who are doing boxing. So we go and look for the snake skins, and we mix it with some kind of oil as part of the ingredients, and then it enhance the strength when they go for boxing activities. So you can see that the skin of the snakes are very much medicinal, but also the snakes themselves can also be medicinal. And you don't have to kill the snake. All you've got to do is to milk the venom. There is even now a practice whereby they are taking some of the venom from one of the dangerous venomous snakes, such as the black mamba. There is a medicine which is from the venom from the black mamba, which is called a mambalgin, which is used in order to kill the pain. So you can see that the snakes, together with the old skins, can be very much medicinal. Traditionally, we are using this in order to solve these kind of different problems. So now let's see if we can find any other interesting animal. Helena, you don't have to worry about it because it's an old skin. You know, the snakes, they've got to go through a process of molting. So every season they must have to change the skin in order to prepare themselves to adapt with the new season. So those kind of old skins is just a sign that this snake has been there and is now heading towards the new season. So you don't have to worry. They are not venomous at all. Yes, snakes can be venomous, and venom is not the same. Some of these snakes, they carry what is called a cytotoxic venom, which only affect your tissue skin, whereas some of them, they carry the neurotoxic venom, which affect your nervous coordination. Some of the snakes, they carry what is called hymotoxic venom. Hymo has got something to do with the blood. It means when bitten by that snake, you are going to have the blood-related problem. Blood will come out from the eyes, all the openings. So you just have to identify the type of snakes. Snakes, they are not that very bad. I love snakes. So Senzo is not interested on snakes, but let's go to Tristan, who's got the lion at the moment.
I do have a lion, yes. The very same lion that we've had most of the morning. But he's kind of drifting in and out of consciousness at the moment in terms of sleeping. He's, I don't think, going to be awake for all that much longer. I think he's kind of thinking about sleeping, but every now and then things just wake him up. So there was a herd of impala that was not too far away that I think he heard just now and kind of looked around at them. There's been a vehicle that's been in and out, and so he's just kind of, I don't know, just taking in the scenery and looking around and seeing what's going on, and half trying to kind of keep his head up. His head is getting heavier by the second, and so you're finding he kind of just keeps dropping, and then you see those eyelids are starting to close as well as he sits there. And so I don't think it's going to be long until he flops over sideways and goes into that proper lion sleep that we know about. Just listening. I just wanted to see if I could hear something because his ears all kind of turned forward and he lifted his head slightly. Sounds like alarm calls in the distance. No, it sounds like maybe monkeys that are alarm calling somewhere around kind of Mulwati. I don't know where Brent is and if monkeys are alarm calling at Hosano, but sounds like maybe in Mulwati. Maybe it's Tingana from when he fled his kill. I know that he was on his kill still last night until this boy arrived at the dam, and so maybe that's where Tingana's gone, is towards the actual kind of Mulwati system, but can't really hear nicely. There's so much wind, it's very tricky to actually hear what's going on. But you can see this guy is going to be quite easy to actually identify going forward. He's got nice little nose markings that should help us, and you should be able to kind of use those for identifying features later in life. You see those 4 little cuts on his nose, little scars that he's got. He's almost got a little equal sign, much like Nena had from the Birminghams. Snazzies, do lions hunt more in the day or at night? Probably more at night than they do in the day, but again, like most cats, opportunistic. You go into the Mara system, you'll find the lions hunt there any time of the day. Middle of the day, afternoon, morning, night, doesn't really matter, just whenever the opportunity presents itself. So much like I say, much like leopard, they are opportunistic in that they'll generally try and kind of catch things whenever they get a chance to. But in saying that, often during the day it's very, very hot, and so expending massive amounts of energy actually looking for food is not what happens. You tend to find that they rest, and if something bumps into them then they'll stalk it, but they don't actively go searching for food like they will in the darker hours when it's much cooler. Then you'll find that they'll patrol, and as they patrol, if they come across food, or they'll pick up the scent of, let's say, a herd of buffalo, and then they'll follow that through and try and kind of find that and find a meal out of it. So I would say nighttime is more active hunting, whereas daytime they do hunt. It's just more a kind of circumstantial hunt. It'll just be when something arrives close to them, they'll go after it. But this boy doesn't look like he's going to be doing any hunting whatsoever. He's kind of prepping for a proper morning sleep. And I must be honest, I'm a little bit jealous of his mane this morning because he seems a little bit warmer than probably what we are. It's starting to get very cold out here. Right, now while we sit with him and see whether or not he is going to do anything more, let's send you back across to Brent and Hosanna, who seems to be hunting for himself.
Well, he's definitely hunting. He's quite hungry, but he's moving through some quite thick areas. So hold on, we're going to keep up. I nearly lost my shuka to a thorn tree a little bit earlier. Now, out of all the animals you hear alarm calling, one of the animals you trust the most is a kudu. Oh, he's doing silly boy again, rolling about. Oh, he's up. Oh. He's on the move again. There he is. And you can see, especially in this grey light, how well leopard's camouflage works. So if Sebastian goes wide, look at that, he just melts, he disappears into the bush. Okay, let's keep up with him. Oh, Hasana, you little naughty boy. And he keeps going this way. I'm going to put my driving skills to the test, especially with the roof on. And there's some pretty hardcore spots up ahead. Don't worry, I'll get through them. And especially if it means staying with the little chief. Which way are you going to go around the bush? Which way are you going to go around the bush? How's that, Seb? Oh, he is gorgeous. Funny boy. What you doing, funny boy? Beautiful. Hosanna. Carolyn says, I love this handsome boy. Carolyn, me too. I think he is currently my favorite leopard. Also, as I said, there's something about boys of this age that is just so special. Just before they disperse. Oh, look, there we go. Oh, he gives such joy. You can almost see when he's about to be a doofus. So he's heading into a very tricky area. Fortunately, dry season makes it a lot easier for us to navigate through these areas. But I think I can wangle across here. Yes, I can. Oh, naughty boy, scent marking. Yeah, where's Tax? Tax, if... Oh, my game drive radio doesn't want to work. Tax, if you want to go around to Mvubu, I'll follow him through the Shkova and stay with him. So he's definitely going to cross this little river system, and we're very lucky with our little cars, our short cars. We can cross areas that the longer game drive vehicles can't. Oh, stop for a sniff. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. He's an idiot. He is an absolute idiot. Let's try to get down. He didn't make the last jump. He sort of got there and it was like, oh, that's a bit high. Okay, I just need to let Taxon know where he's going. So Taxon's going to go around to the other side. It makes sense to have one of us on each side of this little river system. I'm still sure he's going to cross. I think he's smelling where Tingana's been and being very naughty and scent marking on top of said spots. Oh, that was a thorn. Oh, I'm going to miss him when he goes. So I hope he doesn't go too far. Coming back, and he's just disappeared, lay down. There might be some water in there. Okay, let's try to get ourselves in a spot. Yeah. You know what, a little bit earlier this morning I was jealous of Tristan and the Avoca male. Now all that jealousy has subsided, and I'm sure Tristan's actually a bit jealous of us. But let's go look what that lion's up to.
Well, yes, Brenty. I'm always jealous when others have leopards, but it's been a nice morning spent with our Avoca male. I don't get to see them that often, so I've quite enjoyed actually hanging out with this fella and seeing what he gets up to. He's obviously not done much, but it is the way things work with these lions. Sometimes they slow down at this time of the day. I was hoping with a bit of cloud cover like we've had that we would get maybe something out of him, but unfortunately, it seems like he is not going to play the game, and he's going to rather sleep for the remainder of today until this afternoon, when maybe he'll decide to wake up again. So we'll have to kind of come back later and hope that we can maybe find him a little bit later in the day and see what he gets up to. But nice that Brenty found Hosana and that he's so active. And I always kind of wonder with Hosana if his scent marking behavior that we're seeing at the moment, particularly if he's marking over the top of Tingana, is it kind of mirroring behavior where he's just, you know, he's seen his kind of dad, you know, or he's seen his other leopard that doesn't chase him away, mark territory like that and do that, and that familiar scent that he's smelling is maybe triggering him to start kind of scenting around that area? Or is it actually, you know, him starting to come of age and starting to really challenge Tingana? It's always quite interesting kind of to watch how this all plays out. I somehow suspect that he's mirroring behavior is more likely than actually him really trying to push and trying to kind of get Tingana to move away. I think it's more he kind of is smelling Tingana and he's seen Tingana scent mark, and so he's just doing the same thing because that's what he maybe thinks he needs to do. I don't know. It was kind of tricky to know what exactly he's thinking, but it's interesting that he is marking in all the places that Tingana has been marking. But our male lion earlier, we were chatting about roaring and hoping that he would, and so Saskia, you were asking about vocal cords and how they differ in lions and leopards to, I would imagine, to other big cats. So I'm not sure as much about leopards' sort of shapes of their vocal cords or their voice box or whatever you want to call it, but you know, in lions, the shape of theirs is very different to what ours is. Ours is and most animals have a triangular shaped vocal cord that kind of comes off the larynx, whereas these guys have got a square shaped one, and they have very, very deep folds within that square-shaped vocal cord that is covered in fat, and they have a lot more fat in theirs than most other animals. And what that means is that it allows that vocal cord to stretch and to kind of move a lot more than what others do, and protect them from that. It also allows them, because of that square shape, and it's quite a large sort of voice box in comparison to many other animals, that it allows them to produce sound with much lower pressure from the lungs. So even though lions have massive muscles that attach almost to their hips that will pull that diaphragm down and force that air out, they still can produce a louder sound at the same pressure than what we would, because of the shape of that larynx or that voice box. So it's very different to what we have. Like I said, it's not even the same shape, and the folds that we have are much smaller than what they do, as well as, like I say, less fatty deposits that we have in it than what they have. have, which is quite interesting. And so it's interesting also that some of the studies that I've read is that they believe that fatty kind of tissue helps actually repair the damage that's done when roaring, because roaring is quite abusive to that vocal tract, and apparently, particularly with the voice box, it just helps with not being kind of sheared up too much, and it allows that animal to keep doing it over and over again without too much damage taking place. But pretty interesting how these things kind of work, and how, you know, everything is different with these animals. And the other thing that, like I said, is that their kind of ability to stretch that diaphragm as much as they can is pretty incredible, and they're able to then push out this huge amount of sound. It's a much lower frequency than what we push out as well, and therefore carries further than what we do as well. So I think their frequency, if I remember correctly, is somewhere between 40 and 100 megahertz, whereas ours is 100 to 200, I think, something like that. So they're a lot kind of lower frequency than what we produce. But amazing kind of system that they've got. It's very, very interesting how they have a different kind of voice box system than what we do to allow for these massive sounds and to be made, and very, very cool. Lion roar is one of those things, you know, we often talk about kind of experiences out here that we wish many people could have, and I must admit a lion roar has got to be one of them. There we go. It's, I think, him going to sleep properly now. Well, actually, he's grooming himself. That's quite nice. So, you know, lion roars are one of those things that I think everybody in their life needs to experience. It's quite something to sit at this distance, you know, 3-4 meters away from a big male lion, and just to hear him belted out is really quite something. It's pretty incredible that they are able to produce that sound, and it's not something that you can really kind of appreciate unless you're sitting really right up against them. When you're kind of sitting here and you're feeling your chest vibrate as the sound is just being pushed out by this animal, it's unlike anything out there, and it really is one of those kind of breathtaking moments, and one of those moments that I hope that most people will get to see in their life, because it is quite something. Right, now it doesn't sound like, it looks like this invoker male is going to be absolutely fast asleep now. I'm going to give it 5 more minutes and see what he does, and if he doesn't wake up, we're going to carry on. But in the meantime, back to Brent and another view of Hosana.
Well, Hosana is the opposite to asleep at the moment. He's very mobile, very active. He gave us a little bit of a run around crossing that river system, but he's now in a, well, not an easy area to follow, but an easier area to follow. Now you can see he's eaten something, but he's by no means a fat cat. And I think if there is potential prey around, he would definitely have a go. Now, Carol's wondering, does sexual maturity in male leopards make them more territorial? Of course it does, Carol. Once they reach sexual maturity, they will be searching for their own territory. So, yes, of course, it does make them more territorial. However, whether they can hold a territory or not is another story altogether. Okay. Oh, is he going to run up the termite mound? Is he? He's thinking about it. No, he's not. Okay, let's keep up with him. Sebastian? Yeah. Can you hear squirrels? No. Louise says you can hear squirrels shouting at Hosana. I think, Louise, you're listening to a squirrel outside the DRC, because there ain't no squirrels shouting around us at the moment. Yes, Louise is now, yes, the squirrel that is alarm calling is at camp, because there's no squirrels shouting around Hosana at this forward, Seb?
It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, no, see, there's a hole that I'm rolling into. There we go. We can pretend to be squirrels if you want, Louise. Sebastian and I can do our best squirrel alarm call impression. Okay, I'm done being a squirrel now. One more time. Tweety Tweet is asking if... yes, bite that offending piece of grass, Asana. Bite it. Bite it. He's such a clown. Tweety Tweet is wondering if Asana smelt Hokomori's scent, would he mark over it? Yes. Now he's cuddling a stick. Cuddle them. Cuddle. Bite it. Cuddle it. Bite it. He's just having the best time this morning. Would he mark over Hokomori's scent? I'm not sure, to be honest. As Tristan says, I agree 100% with Tristan that his scent marking is more mirroring behavior, and it's more than likely that his hormones that are coming out in the urine are not showing signs of being sexually mature yet. So it's probably why Tingana's sort of tolerating him for now. Attack the buffalo dung. What? Okay, I'm going to go forward a bit for you, Seb. Yeah. There's one branch in the way. He's attacking buffalo dung at the moment. Forward. Oh. Happy? Sorry about the pole, guys. We are... Look, off he goes. Chasing a bird. We are nervous that it might get wet. That's why we've got the roof on this morning. He's such a special cat. Sarah says he's remembering his inner cub. Well, Sarah, as I was chatting about earlier, that's why I love male leopards around this age. They are just amazing to follow. I mean, it's always impressive seeing a big male or a dominant female, but particularly male leopards of this age, they have that, there we go, he's doing it again. They have that sort of cub-like innocence while still being quite a big animal, and of course each individual leopard's got its own personality, and I must say Hasana's personality is definitely something special. Silly cat. Okay, let's try get closer to him now. What no, wait, he's attacking another tree. Attack it, bite it, kill it. He's such a clown. Okay, let's keep up with the clown. Okay, while I negotiate my way through this thick area, let's send you back to Sydney and a Songololo.
I have got a very pretty shongololo, a millipede at the moment here. You can see this millipede is very, very much pretty relaxed. And look at this millipede. He's looking very, 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 very clean. Look at that. So this is one of those animals who are spending much of their time just cleaning themselves. So after every third segment, this kind of an animal has got some kind of brushes that is using in order to clean this very nice body. So the millipedes, they also use the antennae in order to sense. And here I can see there's quite a lot of small insects around them, which is the termites, and with the ants. Ants can also predate in this kind of millipedes. So that is why every time when they're threatened, you will see they coil themselves. The reason for them to coil themselves is to protect the underneath parts, because underneath it is very much fresh and is sensitive. That is where they can easily get grabbed by these kind of small insects such as the ants. So the millipedes, they are poisonous. If you ingest them, they can be very dangerous. And animals, look, now he's going in there. Let's see. Maybe that is where he's staying in, or he's just looking for something. So the millipedes got eaten by the animals such as the civet. If you look, the droppings for the civet during summer season is consisted of a lot of segments from these kind of animals. Look at that. So this is one of those animals who has been recorded even cleaning their reproductive organs after every mating. Amazing. So here alongside the body, Rosemary, that is true. These animals are so very pretty. And from the head to the tail, they have got a gland. It's called a materialistic gland. This gland is the one that secretes a distinctive smell. Once it's secreted, it repels the small insects away. So the small insects, such as the ants, once they pick that, they go away to a distance of about 15 to 20 centimeters. So this is quite a lovely animal. Look at that. So now after rain, they are starting to come out. I can see there is a hole somewhere here. Maybe this is where it's coming from. So the millipedes are also medicinal used. You know, when I was still very young, we used to collect them and give them to the elders. So the elders, they only take small part of their mandibles, and they use those small parts in order to heal the wounds. So to heal the wounds, you can use the millipedes. Tim, the millipedes, they are having 1,000 legs, and that is one of the difference between the millipedes and the centipedes. I know a lot of people, they've got a confusion between these two species. If you look at the body of the millipede, it's round. And if you look at the body of the centipede, it's flat. And if you look at the legs, the centipede has got 100 legs. The millipede has got 1,000 legs. It's quite a lot of legs underneath there. And look at those legs and how they're moving. It's interesting. It's like a train. This is one of the interesting sightings. I'm not too sure where they got this name Shongololo from, but a Shongololo is like a train. So maybe this name derived from them associated with the train movement. Yeah, this is quite a very interesting enough. I can see it seems like it's interested to eat these mushrooms. There is a big mushroom there. I want to see if it's going to the stem of that mushroom. It's going right to the stem there, but it's avoiding it again. And there is another mushroom. Yeah, it's feeding on the mushroom. You see, there is another one which is cutted already. And this is what they eat. Look at that. It's eating the mushroom. So the droppings for these kind of animals, they don't smell nice. When we are still very young, playing with this thing, you will smell it. It doesn't smell nice at all. So if you touch them, they are going to mimic the snake movement. You will see they are going to crawl from the other side of the body, and they will do like this. So you will see they are going to do the simple tiny movement, but they will be upside down, and they are going to do a movement like this very, very much fast. And when they are doing that, that is how they confuse their predators. They are mimicking the snake movement. and and sometimes when they're threatened, this is what they do. They are going to cool themselves like this. When they are cooled like this, you touch them, they don't react. They just act dead. And when they assess and see that the situation is now gone, they are going to again come back and they will carry on. They've got quite a lot of anti-predatory strategies. So now we are going to carry on and see if we can find any other interesting small animal. So now let's go back to Tristan and see what Tristan is up to at the moment.
Well, we're still sitting with our sleepy lion. I was giving him one last chance to redeem himself and wake up and roar, but he just decided not to. And so he's going to sleep, and we are then probably going to carry on and see what else we can find, because while it's nice to spend time with a lion, a sleepy lion, well, at this time of the day, it doesn't promote much excitement. Unfortunately, he's not going to be doing too much. He's going to probably sleep like this until this afternoon. So this afternoon will be nice to come to him, and it's worth waiting in the afternoons, because you know that night is closing in, and therefore there should be a little bit of a kind of a bit more activity on his mind than now. Now he's settling for the night. Who knows how far he walked during the course of the night, well, settling for the day, should I say. Who knows how far he's walked during the course of the night, and therefore, you know, there's not really much, unless another lion arrives or some sort of prey animal, which we can't see any around us and don't know of any, then I'm pretty sure he's just going to rest like this right out in the open and have a really good day nap. So I think we're going to leave him there. We're going to let him kind of enjoy his day, and hopefully we'll find him this afternoon. Chris, that's all genetics. It's much like, so why do some men have no hair on their heads and others do? I mean, it's all how some men have hair on their back and others don't. It's just one of those things. You know, genetics will play a part as to how much hair they get and where they actually grow it. So you'll find, though, that as males get older or into their prime, so they start to sprout hair around their kind of, obviously around their necks, as we know with manes, but then it goes down a little bit onto the belly and onto the legs. You'll find also it depends on where those lions are occurring. So lions in captivity, for example, who don't fight with others, who never walk through a bush, who are kind of you know, just completely looked after the whole time, they often get manes that run all the way down their back and their tummy, and that's because nothing is actually even disturbing that mane at all. It just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Whereas these guys out here, a lot of their manes are constantly being tugged at by branches and you know, thorns and all kinds of other nonsense, as well as fighting at carcasses, and so that keeps their manes a little bit more in check. But the actual genetics of why it grows on the tummy, like in the Matimba males, I mean, if you look at the two of them, one had hair all the way along his tummy and the other one didn't. It's more just a genetic thing. It's like I say, much like people who have blonde hair, dark hair, hair on their head, hair on their face, hair on their back, chest, whatever it is, and others don't, you know. So that's more just a kind of genetic part of it. Good. Let's leave him here. Let's go see what else we can find. We'll do a couple of loops around. I'm going to go check towards Treehouse Dam, because he looked in that direction the whole morning. So I want to go and see if maybe, just maybe, the Nkahuma pride from yesterday has come back onto this side. So that's where we're going to head, and where we're going to go and look. And I'm trying to see if I can drive with one hand, because basically I've got very cold hands from this morning, and I forgot my gloves, which was a bit naughty, but it's the way it goes. Sorry, Rusty. Now, as much as that sounds bad, like I'm scratching Rusty, most of that was on the bottom side, so we'll be okay. Unfortunately, Rusty is going to get scratched at some point. We just need to try and keep it as tidy as possible, because we were a bit naughty in the last few months. We've given our poor vehicles a hard working, and therefore they're a little bit scratched and a little bit dented, and so it was time for them to get some TLC. And I must be honest, it's very nice to be back in Rusty. Rusty is such a beautiful car to drive in comparison to Jigga. I know that we should wouldn't be nasty to Jigger, and Jigger's been here for the longest and many amazing things. But I must be honest, it really is not as comfortable nor as powerful as what Rusty is. So I always enjoy driving Rusty. It's a lovely car to drive around the bush in. Chitty Chatty Meg, it was, you know, David and I, we spent all day and night painting and stripping and kind of getting it. No, I'm joking, of course not. Louise is telling me not to tell lies. Yes, Louise, I know, it wasn't me. So this is actually quite amazing, because basically what happened is we were going to do this and we thought to ourselves, well, we'll try and kind of get somebody in, and it was obviously a very complicated thing to get anybody out here that is in any way a kind of professional sort of spray painter or car painter or anything like that. And so, you know, we kind of hummed and ahhed about it, and then we went to Opar, the genius, and we said to him, listen, can you panel beat and spray cars? And he said, well, yeah, I can, but it's not something I do very often. And so we said, okay, well, you know, give it a bash and see how you go. And I think Opar's done a sterling effort. I think the car looks very, very good. He sprayed it beautifully. He took off all the kind of fittings and made sure that everything was kind of sprayed nicely, that there wasn't runoff onto the rest of the car. He even re-rubberized the footwells. So Rusty is looking very, very good at the moment, and Opar certainly did an incredible job. And so if he ever thinks about giving up on mechanic work, well, he can become a painter of vehicles, because he's definitely knows what he's doing, and I'm very impressed with the work that he's done. So well done to Opar. He works very hard, as Opar is a somewhat of a genius when it comes to cars and doing things, and particularly when he says no, he doesn't. Oh, hello, little Steenbok. There's a little Steenbok there. It looks like it's quite relaxed. Steenbok, don't go into this block, because there's a big male lion there and it might eat you. There we go, male Steenbok, a big male in the Steenbok world. Look at that. He is a prime example of Steenbok masculinity, and I think this is one of those relaxed ones that we often see on bushwalk. You can see it's not moving too much, a few ticks on the ears, but very, very cute. Now, this poor Steenbok, who is cold and fluffy and is walking towards that line at the moment, well, not walking now, but he will be, he should also be very careful, because, well, there's Hosanna on the prowl too.
On the prowl indeed. He's just climbed up a termite mound to get some height, to see if there's any potential prey up ahead. Not only is he using his eyes, he's using his nose and his ears. You can see his ears are out. He keeps lifting his head slightly. The wind is coming straight into his face. So he is testing the wind, checking with his eyes, and listening for potential prey. He must be absolutely loving this foul weather. The opposite to us, of course. We think it is absolutely foul, but I think Hosanna is loving this cool, windy, overcast weather. Tim would like to know, how much do I think Hosanna weighs now? I don't know, Tim. What do I reckon? Oh, he's going to have a flop down. Let's get around to the other side of him. I think he probably weighs around 60, 65 kilos. Let's go this way. Now, with most other leopards, I wouldn't do this, but because it's Hosanna, and I know, hello, silly, how he is around vehicles. So with Tundi, for example, I'd never do this. This would cross Tundi's boundary. But again, that's why it's important to be able to read animal behavior. So with Tundi, I would never do that. I would go miles around. But with Hosanna, I know he isn't perturbed by the vehicles at all. He barely gave us a cursory glance. I'm trying to get us into a nice shot for Sebastian. Yeah, I think it's going to be through this gap. Seb, you happy? Is the pole out of the way? The pole is out of the way. There we go. A quintessential leopard pose in the Sabi sands. Achoo, achoo, achoo. And one more. Achoo! Ryan is asking if I saw any leopards in the Mara. I did actually, Ryan. I saw quite a few leopards. So unfortunately, in the Mara, where the majority of the leopards were, was in the low-lying luggers, which is what we call a donga in South Africa, or the dry river systems. And a lot of those river systems, unfortunately, were not covered by our signal. So we didn't see as many leopards as I would like. They were there. And I saw quite a lot while crossing through low-lying areas. I think my record was 6 leopards in a day in the Mara. And every single one of them... Oh no, one had signal. One had signal. Out of the 6 leopards, only one was in a signal area. Boy, you've been busy. With no luck. He's having a little break. I think he's going to keep moving, but he's just having a little time out. So for those of you wondering where we are pretty much due north of the dam cam at the moment. On the top of the crest opposite the dam cam. Such a special kitty. Lauren says I need to get my sneeze looked at. It has a strange clicking sound. Lauren, I know it's just controllable, Lauren. Achoo! That was a big one, wasn't it, Seb? I will definitely go see the doctor, Lauren. And I've got a feeling, Lauren, that the doctor will subscribe a bigger lens. It is a slippery slope, the camera equipment hobby. No, Louise, lenses can't be mirrorless, only cameras. Louise is saying I should get a mirrorless lens. I'm pretty sure all lenses are mirrorless. It's the cameras. Now she says she meant camera. Yes, Louise. Yes, Louise. Whatever you say, Louise. I don't know. I know quite a few people who've got mirrorless cameras. It's not my vibe. So what happens is actually the mirrorless cameras are quite small, and the technology is not quite there yet. Probably in a year or two I will be on a mirrorless camera, but at the moment I just don't think they're as good as the standard bodies. I mean, I still run around with my old school body, my 5D Mark I, and this thing is ancient. I had this in the Selous in Tanzania. So, when was I living there? That was 10 years ago. So this body is still 10 years old. You can see it's got cracks in the glass, but it is still a great camera, and it still works perfectly well. At the moment, I don't have a lens on it, but it is still a great camera. It's like an old friend that sits next to me in my camera bag. Fancy Cheetah is wondering, will Hassan feel the urge to disperse or will be pushed out? Normally he'll be pushed out. If you think about it, there's no actual reason for him to want to leave. There's plenty of food, there's friends, Tandi and Tingana and Shalamba, but no, he won't sort of disperse by choice, especially in a prime territory like this. He'll move when he is pushed. And unfortunately, I think that day is rapidly approaching, which is very sad. I don't want him to go. He must stay here. He's my friend. But hopefully he doesn't move too far and we can continue to follow him. Unfortunately, if I think about it though, Louise says if he leaves we'll have to put up lost posters, get his face printed on a milk carton. So hopefully, and this guys is serious hope, this is wishful thinking, is that he's like quarantine, he doesn't move too far, but unfortunately for him this area is quite saturated with male leopards, and I don't think there's much space left for our little chief, and he is going to have to try find his way in the world at some point, which will be a very sad day when we stop seeing him every day. Sebastian's even crying. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I'm just very cold.
No, he's just very cold, he says. I'm only teasing. So, Hosanna is not the only thing on a termite mound this morning. Let's go have a look what the other beastie that's on the termite mound is.
Hosanna is not the only animal sitting on top of the termite mound this morning. I am also right on top of this very big house, enjoying the benefits and the efforts done by the termites. So now, by this time of the year, I can promise you the termites are preparing. In about a week or two's time, you will see we are going to have quite a lot of winged termites flying, leaving these termite mounds for reproduction purposes. So I can see that the rain is not enough, but if the rain comes again heavily, you will see a day after that we are going to start having these flying ants, and I can't wait to see that. These are some of my favorite insects. So these termites, they don't come out from the top here. So the termites are very much clever. They make sure that they create the tunnels here at the bottom. So here at the bottom is where they are going to fly from. So the top part is going to remain just like this. So they don't want to open holes because otherwise that is going to invite quite a lot of predators. So they make sure that they dig holes like this. Let me dig a hole here so that you can see. They dig a hole like this. And this hole, they are not going to use it as a once-off. They will use the same hole every night. They will just open it and close, and they use it every night in order to release them. Remember, these kind of insects don't come once. From the same termite mounds, they are going to come out for a couple of days, some couple of weeks. It's just going to be them every late afternoon. So these kind of insects, they are going to be flying anytime soon, and it's going to be very much interesting because they are eaten by quite a lot of things, including birds, and they attract snakes, even big cats such as lions, they also, and leopards, they also catch them as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting anytime soon. And Nina Moo, the bird that I'm looking for is one of those birds which are very, very difficult to see, which is the red-chested cuckoo, the one which makes noise like in Afrikaans is calling Piet Mevrou. Piet Mevrou is like Piet Mevrou. So it's a very interesting bird. It's difficult to see these birds. You will hear the call, but to see him is never easy. But it's quite a lovely bird. That is one of the birds I can't wait to see. So, but now at this stage, I can see the birds are very much quiet. So a lot of them, maybe they're on their way back now because the weather is now changing, and I can see that the rain is just about to come. Also, these birds, anytime soon they will be here. Let's go back to Tristan and see what Tristan is up to at the moment.
I'm not sure if it's going to start raining. I don't see any clouds that look like it's going to rain. So where Sydney is, I feel like where we are, the clouds are still very high in the sky. So therefore we should theoretically be all right. You never know. I hope it doesn't start raining because it's cold enough as it is. If we add wet kind of rain to this, it's going to be very unpleasant to be out here and to be driving around. I feel like my nose is quite cold. It might be a little bit Rudolph-like with the red nose at the moment. David in the background, I can't even see him. He looks like a ninja. All I can see is two eyes that are sticking out. David's got buffs all over him in every direction this stage, so he's looking quite comfortable and happy in the background there. Apparently Louise's toes are cold in final control. Louise, I'm sorry that your toes are cold. It's never nice to have cold toes. Cold feet has got to be the worst thing in the world, because it seems like, you know, when you've got cold hands or cold ears, you know, it takes about 2 minutes and everything starts to warm up again once you get out of the cold. But feet seem to take about 40 years to warm up. It always is such a mission to get your feet to get warm again. Did you see a ground hornbill? Yes, well done, David. There's another one over there as well. That's nice. I haven't seen ground hornbills in a while, so we're going to try and get a nice view of one. The one is over there on the other side of the dam, David. Let's go forward slightly. I like ground hornbills. They are crazy birds in terms of their ability to catch food and find food is quite something, and the sizes of the animals that they can subdue always seems to astound me. You know, they always kind of think of them as that they kind of catch little grasshoppers and those kind of things, but they are quite hectic birds. They can be a murderous bunch when they want to, and they really are epic creatures, and unfortunately highly endangered these days. The numbers have not been very good. They are obviously birds that have a tough time due to just their kind of nesting sites. They often choose very poor nests, and they've had a lot of habitat destruction, so they need big trees with holes in them. They like marulas particularly, jackalberries, those kind of things, and so with the destruction of a lot of that habitat and a lot of those nice big trees, there's not as many nesting sites. So I'm trying to find if I can get a better can we get a view of that one? I wonder if it will stay still for us, kind of moving around in the thickets there. But this is a group of 3 that we see quite regularly in this area, and yes, while we're talking about murderous bunch and hornbills that we remember, Louise is telling me about, reminding me of, whoa, there's a male, reminding me about the hornbills of last year, old Hammered Harry, poor thing that got beaten and abused by the others and eaten. So when we found that dead hornbill in the Muwati with the other hornbills around there, it was quite something to see. So that was probably one of the weirdest experiences that I've had. It was very interesting to kind of see what went on there. But I was saying that is a male bird that we just saw. It disappeared. I think it's gone down into the actual Muwati system. No, there he's flying now, straight ahead of us. He's kind of just going to go along. They've got a beautiful wing with that bright white that contrasts against the black, and then the kind of red of the throat. Very pretty bird. So I'll show you why it's a male shortly. Ground hornbill. Let's see now. Southern ground hornbill. There we go. So if you have a look there, apparently it's not to scale, but anyway, we've got this individual here that has got just a plain sort of red throat, and I'm going to scroll down, and there we go. You'll get that kind of bluing that comes through. Now, have I confused the two between male and female? I think have I, or have I not? Now I'm getting confused between the two. Hold on, let's have a look. Yes, that's right. The female has the blue, that's why. Sorry, I don't know why I said male. It's been a while. Anyway, so the female gets that purple patch, and then the male just has a straight kind of red patch on it, and there you can see what they look like when they kind of close up. In Kruger has probably got to be one of the best places to view these guys. They really are kind of incredible birds there. Unfortunately, the reason why I say it's a good place to view them is because people have fed them there, and so they come up to the cars and they literally will stand right next to you, and they just look up at you, and so you can get these views of this hornbill and not even a meter away, and really kind of get to see them in detail. Out here, because of the nature of what we do and how we try not to disturb animals, they're a little bit more flighty and a bit more skittish. What I will say though is these guys are obviously very pretty, but and talking about those kind of contrasts in the wings and colorations, the one thing about Congo, and I'm sure Brent will attest to this in Gabon, is that the hornbill species are out of this world. They are some beautiful, beautiful hornbills that you get up in that part of the world. Big and beautiful big beaks and different colors, and really very, very cool. So my favorite one that I saw there, and I'm interested to know what Brent's favorite hornbill was that he saw in Gabon, because there's very similar hornbills there. But my favorite was the white crested hornbill, which is a beautiful, beautiful bird. It really is very pretty and very striking when you see it in the forest. It's got this kind of snowy white top to its head and this long tail that comes down with these little white blobs on the side. Very, very, very cool. Right, now we're going to jump into the Mulwati, get out of the wind for a little bit. While we do that though, let's send you across to Sydney, who's found something rather large on foot.
Look at that. I have got a very big head of the elephants, and these elephants, they are moving very quickly. It seems like they are going somewhere much more towards the western side. I can see that these elephants, their head is consisted of the big ones as well as the small ones. This is a breeding head. But these elephants are just keep moving non-stop. They are not feeding at all, and they are going very, very fast. And they're just everywhere. This is a lovely sighting. They're just changing direction all the time. They were starting going towards much more that side, but now I can see they're changing the direction now, moving much more towards that side. So it seems like these elephants are not on a good mood. Maybe something before us here and disturb them, because they are coming from that direction and non-stop going much more that side, and the little ones are just running. So things are happening. So they all got disappeared now. And so now let's go back to Tristan, who's got a kingfisher.
I do have a beautiful kingfisher, not one that gets seen all that often. So this is a grey hooded kingfisher. It really is quite striking. It's going to fly now shortly though. You can see it's just defecated, and that's normally an indication that flight is about to take place. But it's got these beautiful blue kind of patches on the wing, and then it's got that rusty kind of color on the shoulders and down towards the tummy, and that bright kind of reddish pink bill. They really are pretty birds, and like I say, not the most common ones to see out here. Very seldom actually do you get really good views of them. They often kind of fly out and you kind of battle to find them, so they're not our most seen kingfisher, and this has probably got to be one of the best sightings I've had of a grey hooded in, well, since I've been at SafariLive, and just in terms of how we got it on camera was absolutely beautiful. That was very, very, very cool. Well done, David. That was excellent. So hopefully some of you enjoyed that, and hopefully it's a new bird for some of you, particularly those that maybe haven't done much of the birding in summer with us. That might be a new one for you. But the reason why I'm not hanging about in terms of kind of looking around for that is because a little bird has whispered in my ear of a surprise that is far up to the north, and so I need to kind of try and get a move on to get up there, because I would like to show you what is up that side, because I have a sneaky suspicion. So they just talking to me on the radio. Hey, firm, go ahead. Okay, copy. Yeah, see how it goes. Now the problem is it's right on the boundary, and so it's going to be tricky to see. But let's try and get there. As to where we need to be, see if we actually pull this off. It'll be worthwhile. We do. Yeah, I'm sure. Get up there, and we're gonna have to go.
So these elephants has just now disappeared much more towards this direction, and I can't see them anymore from where I am, but I don't want to take any kind of risk. I saw that they were not in a good mood from where they were coming from. We're just going to leave them and see what we are going to find next. So the wind direction is going towards their way, so they now all about our presence as well. Apart from their disturbances where they're coming from, they are also now aware of our presence. So now the whole bush is very quiet. It was quite a very big herd, consisted of about between 50 to 70 elephants. But now I can't hear anything. The bush is so quiet, as if there were never elephants here. Ginger, that is quite a very interesting question. The nyala I found dead yesterday has been taken for testing. So the management of the service end took it. So the results are not out yet. I'm very sure that when the results are out, we will share that with you. So maybe it died naturally, or maybe it was as a result of the disease. We are not too sure what exactly happened there. So there is a Ziziphus macronata, is a buffalo thorn. So I can see that now my camera operator is battling to pass there. This is one of those very interesting trees. You can see here I've got a small branch, so he nearly got hooked by this hook thorn. They call it a wait a bit tree. It's a blink blood vakabiki, which means wait a bit. So now let's go back to Brent and see what Brent has got.
Well, we've been trying to keep up with Hasana. He gave us the slip in the drainage line, and then all of a sudden we got the call that, look, it's Thandi and Tlalamba. They're probably only 200 meters away from where we last saw Hasana. I think both Thandi and Tlalamba are oblivious to the fact that Hasana is right here. Now, I'm quite excited. This is the first time I've seen them since May. And Tlalamba is massive compared to what she was the last time I saw her. Actually, we had such a wonder. Oh, she's hungry as well. Well, Thandi's hungry. Not sure about Tlalamba. We can't really see her clearly. She's... There we go. Unfortunately, they're just north of the boundary, so we can't go any closer. And it looks like they are heading a little bit further north. Nkomo! I'm just saying thank you. What do you think? Forward, Seb? Yeah, let's go forward. So I was hoping that they might cut towards the boundary, which I'm on at the moment. Oh, there she is. She might... She looks like she wants to come towards us. Isn't that stunning? Well, Seb and I are not going to complain. We've had a leopard morning. Okay, let's roll forward down the hill. Lisa, indeed, Tlalamba is nearly as big as her mom. I'd probably guess her tracks are of a similar size now. And I saw their tracks on Gwaripan ages ago, days ago, and I haven't actually seen them since. Yes, the impalas, and they don't look like they've spotted her. They're just walking past them. They've spotted Columba as being a fool. Let me just try get. I think we're going to get a gap over here, Seb. Well, sort of a gap. It looks like she might come down. No, I think she's going to come down this path. So let's get past the termite mound. There we go. How's that? See, tails up, tails curled. Impala snorting, but you can barely hear it with this wind. I think she might cross into Juma. Oh, do you see that? The two little tails together. Wasn't that wonderful? So she's cutting slightly to the west, which means she's cutting more and more towards the boundary. Jeez, I don't think she realizes how close Asana is. Oh, look at the tails. I love their tails. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, stopped on oh no, now running again. Nana is wondering how long will these two stay together. Nana, that is a very interesting question. It is completely dependent. Because she's a female, probably between 14 and 16 months, she will leave her mom. There goes little Kalamba. Come on, come this way, you silly leopards. Oh, it's going to get a little bit harder for us to spot them now. You see them, Seb? No, not yet. I think they've dropped into this little dry riverbed. Ooh, this is where it's tricky now for us to spot them. You got them?
Yeah, reverse the base if you can.
Oh, I see the tail. Oh, they're much closer now. She's going to come out. There's Tandy. Tandy's closer to us. Come this way, Tandy Kile. So, of course, for those of you who don't know what Tandy... Oh, there's Kalamba out in the open up ahead. Oh, she's got so big. Hello, pretty girl. So, yeah. Oh, spotted by a squirrel. Sorry, Taxon's just calling me quickly. I just want to let him know where we are. Tax, just come on Buffelshoek cut line. They're just to the north of the road in the Shkova off Gary cut line, still heading west, parallel to the road. Look at that tail, the squirrels. And leopards, when spotted, sort of raise their tails as a sign of defeat. Okay, let's keep going forward. Now, she's moving quite quickly. I wonder if she has been disturbed by another male, as in not Tingana. Sometimes Gajima, I don't think it's been seen in ages. And then you guys saw a new male. I was away. What was his name? Shabas. Well, I have to ask. I know there was another male seen at Buffelshoek. So they might have encountered, or she might have smelt a male that she wants to take Kalamba away from. And she is moving very quickly. And they're still right here. Okay, perfect. I should pop out into the open shortly. Let me just get forward. So it could be that just from her behavior, I think they're trying to move a whale that they don't know, or Tandy might know but thinks is a possible threat to. I don't think it's a signer. I don't think they're aware of. They are. Sorry, Seb, I keep forgetting about this. Pole. Let me go forward a bit more. There we go. They should be popping out for you shortly. See her there. About to come onto the road. There's Tandy. Oh, she's looking in good condition. Now where's Trouble? There comes Trouble. Hello, Trouble. Tracy is asking how old is Shalamba. Shalamba will be a year in November. So 11 months. Are we October? Yes, 11 months old. Okay, we're on the move forward again. We're being they're being quite nice to us. The fact that they are staying in sight of our boundary, even though they are across the boundary to the north. Oh, see, Tandy keeps looking back like she's being chased. This, of course, Tandy is Jamie's favorite leopard. Linda is wondering, is Kalamba doing any hunting by herself? Yes, probably squirrels and scrub hares and Franklin and guinea fowl, but nothing too big yet. We're going to have to move. Okay, we're moving again. Tucks, they've now passed Gari cut line, but you should see my mobile on the boundary. Okay, I'm going to hope that Tandy and Kalamba cross into Djuma while we keep up with them. Let's send you across to Sydney on foot.
I just have found something very much interesting here. I can see this dead log has been burnt here. So I want to share a very interesting story with this kind of fires here. You know, when I grew up, this is what we used to do. When I grew up, when having problems with the sores, when here by the hip bone, when this part is sore, we used to go and collect the branches, and we take this and make firewood. And after that, the elders are going to lead us on this. Normally we do it early in the mornings or late afternoon. So we take this part of the wood which is burning, a burning wood. And as that wood is burning, we have to point the hip like this. And we must have to talk to say, I want this saw to go away now. And you talk to the wood, and you must have to be pointing it away. It's like you are taking you are taking the saw from the hip and direct outside. And you must have to give a message to say, I want this kind of saw to go away. Please, this saw must go away. And tomorrow morning, when we wake up, we are healed. That is a traditional belief, and it's a traditional practice that we are using in order to chase away the sore which affect the hip bone. So Senzo is just pointing on his hip bone. Maybe he's got a problem. I'll fix him. So now we are going to carry on further and see if we can find any other interesting animal. So I'm still looking for the small animals, but here where I am, the wind is starting now, is getting very strong at the moment. I can feel that. So the chances. Kathy, I didn't get your question very nicely. If you can repeat that, Lou. So the bones, Kathy, when it is bent with a very strong wood, it can burn just more like completely, it can turn into ashes. But it doesn't burn like the firewood. But at the end, if you burn the bones with the firewood, you will see they are going to turn into the ash. I have seen those kind of things happening. So now let's go back to Brent, who's got the two leopards, Tandy and Kalamba.
Well, Kalamba just launched herself up a terminalia tree to try catch a bird and nearly fell on her face. But she is full of beans this morning. Tandy is looking a little bit more anxious. As I said, I think she's trying to move away from a male leopard. Oh, it looks like Kalamba's going to jump again. No, Mom's going to keep moving. So she'll probably follow. Look, there we go. Up into the tree again. Silly kitty. Silly kitty. It's gone. It flew away the first time you jumped into the tree. Oh, 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 oh. Are we going to try jump next level? It looks like it. Or we're going to fall out of the tree. She's thinking about going higher. But now looking back at Mom. Mom's keeping moving. Must I go up? Or must I follow Mother? Oh, 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 oh. Oh, good balance, little Kalamba. Oh no, let me ignore Mom. I think the tree looks far more interesting than following my dear mother. Indecisive. Oh, wonderful. She's thinking about it. I think she's going to come down and probably scoot after Mom. Hopefully she proves me wrong and scoots up the tree. Oh, tentatively trying to find terra firma. Carol said there must be catnip in the air. I think it's just the weather, Carol. This lovely, cool weather is keeping the leopards, well, particularly the young leopards, entertained. Of course, the old lady Tandy is behaving as regally as always. Now, Kalamba is ignoring her mom, who's moving off. But we'll see shortly whether she feels like she's getting left behind and she bounds after her mother. Oh, Tandy's climbed up a tree now. Is he there?
Oh, yeah.
Tandy has bounded up a fallen tree to have a good look around, using it as a good vantage point. Ted, sorry, I didn't catch that question. Sorry, Lise. I was sidetracked by leopards moving, jumping, doing stuff. Oh, Ted would like to know, will Mom leave the little one behind? Yes, when she goes hunting, she will leave her in an area where there are trees or termite mounds or anywhere where she can hide and stay safe. Or we're going back up a tree. I think maybe there's a gecko or a skink or a lizard on that tree that's keeping her attention on that terminalia. There we go. Little stretch. Silly cat. Still thinking about going up. I'll see shortly if she bounds after Mom. Mom is now laid down in that tree that we saw in up ahead, but we're going to stick with Kalamba because she is being wonderful. Attacking leaves. Well, I think now as Tandy's decided she's far enough away from what... Oh, she's up the tree. Quick leap. From whatever was worrying her, that she's now decided that this is a decent spot to sit and wait, rest for a little bit. Carol is wondering how close in weight is Kalamba to Tandy. Not too close. Carol, I'd say Tandy's probably around 50 kilos, 55. I'd say Kalamba is still 30, 35 kilos. So still quite a lot lighter than Mom. But she is. It seems to be a day of silly leopards today, Sebastian. Yeah, it's the weather. Yes, I agree. Hasana playing the fool, Kalamba playing the fool. She's edging towards us at the moment. Hello, little girl. Well, not so little girl anymore. The last time I saw you, you are half the size you are now. Very pretty young leopard. Our Tweety Kid would like to know, where will Kalamba go when Tandy sends her away? So unlike the males, oh, up she goes again. Oh, all the way up. Unlike the males, the females will generally sequester a portion of their core territory off to their daughters. So Tandy will probably leave a section of territory for Kalamba to take over. And she will then extend or try push her territory in a different direction. And it's one of the ways female leopards try and ensure their daughters get an easy start in life. Eh, silly cat. Oh, you're going to fall. Yep, yeah, I told you. I told you were going to fall. Unfortunately, I can't really move anywhere else to get a better view. Oh, it looks like we're going up again. Or we're going to go see Mom. No, we're going to go see Mom. Okay, let me move up ahead so we can get to where she's going before she gets there. And have a look at Mom in the tree. Because I think Kalamba might leap into the same tree as Mother Darling. Tell me when you are happy, Sebastian. Oh, there's lots of trees in the way, unfortunately. I think this is going to be our best gap. Yeah. Oh, no. One terminalia. It'll do. Okay. No, I'm pretty sure Kalamba is going to bound up that... Oh, no. No, it's not going to do, Sebastian. Let's try... Just keep on her and I'll just roll back till we find a suitable gap. Sorry, everyone, this is not the easiest. Oh, dear. Oh, now Kalamba's up there as well. Let's go forward. I think where we were might have been the best. Oh! Kalamba was up there. She's now on the ground below there. She just leapt off the branch. Where's she gone? I've lost sight of her. Where's she gone? Where's Kalamba? Yeah, as you can see, she's annoyed with Kalamba. Look at her tail. Trying to have a nap, and these teenage children of mine, or teenage child of mine, just thinks it's playtime all day, every day. There she is. She's going to come up. She's just come up. There you can see her tail there. Oh, can you hear elephants breaking branches nearby? Anna Marie says, I seem to be very happy to be back with the Juma leopards. Indeed I am, Anna Marie. Absolutely ecstatic, in fact. They are very, very special kitties. Okay, well, we sit here having all the leopard luck this morning. Let's go see how Tristan's doing.
Well, that was the surprise that we were heading to, but Brent went instead. So we're now just scratching around kind of along Nyala Road, Central Batelia, in that area, because we have tracks for what looks like the Niconico Pride, but you know, I didn't drive yesterday afternoon, so I'm not sure if this is from yesterday or whether or not this is fresher tracks than that, but they kind of are heading in a sort of easterly direction towards this block on my left hand side here, and nothing seems to come out on to Nyala Road, so I'm not sure. We'll have to try and kind of see what's going on here. I mean, like I said, the tracks look as though they're from during the course of the rain last night, and given that the Niconico Pride was just south, well, they were at Twin Dams and then kind of went south from there, I would imagine, I thought for a second that these might be their tracks, but I'm not sure now, given that they haven't kind of gone in the direction that I thought they would. And I've been looking around all over the place, kind of just trying to see their tracks, and the problem that we have is on Batelia Road, it is so hard there from the rain, it is almost impossible to see a track. I can see a few little hyena tracks there, but this doesn't seem to be the whole Pride of Lions. I'll show you what the tracks look like now, because we're not far from where they went. They kind of cut into this section between Batelia and Central and Nyala Road and kind of walked along, and I would have thought they would have come out somewhere on this road, but it doesn't seem like they have. They seem like they've just gone straight into the block and kind of walked off in that direction, which is strange to me, because the Pride very seldom walks like that in this area. It generally kind of comes straight out onto this road and then cuts across the road and onto the other side. So this is a pathway that they'll use, is they'll kind of come through on the left here, this path that's coming across, and then onto this one, and then round these mud wallows and through that way. But I don't see any indication of them doing that this time around, and it makes me kind of intrigued, because I'm not quite sure where they went then, because the tracks kind of move in this direction but then don't actually cross the road. Hello, impalas. So I'll show you now which tracks I'm talking about. Like I say, not the freshest of tracks. Now, I believe a lot of you are commenting about the fact that Tandi was once in my room. It wasn't just once, it was twice that she was in there. The one time was more just at the doorway than anything else, but the other time she was right in. So she's a strange cat. That what she was doing, I don't know. She just seemed to be curious. Just wanted to come and hang out and see what was going on. But these are the tracks that I will be referring to, is this whole mess on my left hand side here, which you'll be able to see fairly shortly. But there's lots and lots and lots and lots of footprints that are on that left side there, so that whole kind of disturbance, and that's where we're talking about. Now, like I say, I don't know, I didn't drive here yesterday at all, so yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon I didn't drive around these areas, and I've been trying to ask everybody on the radio, do they know about these tracks, and no one seems to kind of know about them, so it must be fairly fresh. It's trickier when there's rain around, because last night it rained quite a bit actually through the night, and so these tracks could have been from early yesterday evening, and kind of rain has fallen a little bit on top of them, but definitely nothing comes out on Batelia that I can see, nothing on Central Central, nothing on Drakensberg, so maybe they're still lying somewhere in this kind of block and just taking it easy. But I don't know, it's just something about it. I mean, they are fairly fresh in terms of, if you look at the track itself, there's quite a lot of darkness to it, which is normally kind of wetter soil that's been moved around. So I'm a bit intrigued by the whole thing. There's definitely rain on top of it though. Interesting. I don't know. We'll have to, I mean, that looks like a job for being on foot for a long period of time, and I don't know if we have that kind of time available to us. There's some kudus over here that look very relaxed about life, so we'll just go and have a little look at them quickly. Right, so our kudus are just through the kind of gap on the top there, and like I said, they don't look too stressed about life at all. There's going to be a pole in the way, isn't there? Over there we go. There's the kudu, so I'm not making it up, there really are animals in this area. Anyway, we'll kind of see what else we can find in this section and try and scratch around while we do that though. Let's send you back across to Brent.
Well, they are chilling hard at the moment. Unfortunately, we cannot get a better view for now. They're both on the same fallen down marula tree, and we can't get any closer. I was really hoping that they might cross the boundary and come towards us, but for now they've decided that that is the spot to be. And this very chilly weather is definitely suiting the cats at the moment. They are thoroughly enjoying it. Caroline says if Tandi and Hasana are half siblings, who is Tandi's father? I have absolutely not a cooking clue. Yambila Jordan, maybe. I'm guessing. But Mafufinyan. But so, as much as we like to think we know who the father or whatnot of leopard cubs is, it's basically almost pure speculation. Without genetic tests, all we're doing is guessing, because female leopards will mate sometimes with up to 5 different males before they have cubs, to try and ensure that all the males within the area that they operate think that the cubs are theirs. So it's very, very difficult to say for sure who the baby daddy, but we can always speculate, but it is, as I said, near impossible to tell for certain. But Mafufinyan or elephants. I said I heard elephants close by. There's more coming through. A little herd of elephants moving through. There's one about to cross the boundary. And there's a second about to come onto the fire break to the left there, so a bit closer to us. Here we go. Hello, Ellies. Oof, we've been spoilt this morning, Sebastian.
Very much so. Wow.
What a lovely morning, even though it is absolutely miserable in terms of temperature and climate. We have been completely spoilt with our sightings. And we found elephants and we didn't even have to move from Tandi and Tlalamba. Oh, elephant stopped for a snack. Annette says Tandi and Tlalamba look amazing, both of them in the same pose. Indeed, they are very regal creatures, as is the elephant bottom that's disappearing. Tandi and Tlalamba, however, have not moved. You will see another vehicle behind there. That is the Juma Game Drive vehicle, enjoying the sighting as well. You can see a Taxon's cap sticking out over Tundi's back there. Is it? Oh no, it's Fanuti's cap. Well, we're going to sit here to see if Tundi and Kalamba get moving and hopefully come to the north. In the meantime, let's send you back to Sydney to see where he's tromping to next.
I am here still looking for something very interesting, but so far it's very much quiet here. I'm only seeing quite a lot of tracks from the wildebeest. The wildebeest has been here, and it's so very interesting seeing that here by these grasses nothing is waking up. All these insects, everybody is just sleeping, because mostly when the sun is very hot, you can see quite a lot of insects just flying, but all the insects, they are hiding at the moment. Oh, some droppings here. So if you look at these droppings and how these droppings are compacted, you can see that we are now during the dry season. By looking at the droppings, you can also tell what season we are in. So these droppings are from the blue wildebeest. So you can see that they are not as soft as the one for the buffaloes, and they confuse quite a lot of people when they're like this. So this has been a wildebeest here. So if you want to come and land droppings, the best time is during the beginning of the dry season, because when waiting for the rain to come, the vegetation is going to bring quite a lot of nutrients, and these animals, a lot, are going to experience the running stomach, and they are not going to develop nice pellets. They are going to have soft droppings, and the soft droppings, it will be very difficult for you to figure out from what animal is it. Tatiana, the temperature at the moment, I am not very sure, but it's not that very cold. Yes, it's cloudy, maybe approximately 20, 21 degrees at the moment. So, but I can see that it's very cloudy. Maybe it's going to get cold again during the day. So, but now it's not that very cold. Unless I am not feeling cold because I am walking. Maybe it's cold to the other people. Yeah, you see, Brent and Tristan, who are driving, has been complaining since the beginning of this morning. So because they are in the vehicle, it's different from me. I am already adapted. So to me, it's not cold anymore. Thank you very, very much, Linda, for such a wonderful comment about the presentation done about the dung of the wildebeest. So I can't wait to see the changes with regards to the dungs, the formation of the dung due to the nutritious grass coming back after the rain. So now let's go back to the cold Tristan and see how he's doing.
Well, it's not just me that's cold. I think everything out here is cold this morning. That's why everybody's running around like hooligans, except for our male lion who just decided to sleep. But it is chilly. It's a cold, cold day, and I'm sure it's not going to get any better. I think it's going to be one of those days that stays a little bit cold and miserable for the course of the morning and the day, and then tomorrow hopefully will be a brighter, fresher start, because a bit of sunshine would go a long way. Although the thing is, as soon as we get sunshine after this bit of rain, everything's just going to start exploding into a green foliage, and it's going to become a lot harder to see things. You know, we got spoiled this morning with a lot around, but it's not going to be like this for much longer, I don't think. They'll start to kind of struggle to find things once again. And I wonder if Thandi and Kalamba are not on their way to a kill if they're together. Often that can be the case, or maybe they had a kill stolen from them. You never know where Tingana ended up. You might have gone from one kill to another and just pushed them off it, but it'd be interesting to kind of see where they head today, those two. I'd imagine, knowing Thandi and weather like this, she's going to be all over the place today, and it's going to be very tricky to find her again this evening. It was funny actually, this morning when I was driving, I was thinking about Thandi and I was wondering where she's going to pop up, and I was saying to David, let's head towards Buffelshoek Dam and let's maybe try there and see what's going on. And then she was found kind of on the Buffelshoek northern boundary, kind of walking west from the dam area. So interesting that she's up that side. It's nice that she's back out of Torchwood or wherever she's been. She's been away for a few days now. In fact, it's almost been a week since she was last seen, so very, very nice to see them. And obviously with Kalamba in tow is always very good, so glad that they're around again. Hopefully they stick about for this afternoon's drive, and maybe even for the next couple of days would be quite nice. It's been a long time since we've had a good Thandi and Kalamba run where we've seen them regularly for days on end. It's kind of been always one day and then a gap of a week or two and then another day, and so it'd be nice to get a few sightings in a row of her. It'd take a lot of hard work, but I suppose it can be done. Hopefully she kills something big today and puts it in a tree, and that will make life a lot easier to follow her around and to see what she gets up to. But other than that, it's very quiet. Like I said, those lion tracks, I'm not sure about them. I need to check and see what kind of goes on and where they kind of head maybe this afternoon. Snazzy, what do you do if a leopard goes into your room? Well, there's very little you can do. You just leave it and wait for it to come out again. The kind of thing that I had with Thandi, I was in the room both times, so luckily the one where she really came in, I had been in the bathroom having a shower and kind of came out of the shower and walked out of the bathroom and saw this leopard busy sniffing around in the kind of bedroom area, and she got as much of a fright as I did and just ended up running straight out the door. Luckily the door was right where she was and she could just kind of exit out, and I wasn't between her and the exit. But it's not a good place to be with a leopard. You don't really want to be inside anything with a leopard around, and the reason why is because if it feels like it's cornered and it can't go anywhere, its only route is going to be through you, which is going to hurt a lot, and you're not going to really come off very well if that happens, and she's not going to be that friendly about it. So, you know, you try and avoid being in a room with a leopard. It's like I say, it's a recipe for getting yourself badly injured. But as long as you kind of, if you see them go in and obviously no one's in there, then it doesn't really matter. Just leave them and they'll come out again. But if you're in there, as long as you kind of have somewhere safe where you can stand and close a door, or try and kind of just make a bit of a noise that she gets a little bit of a fright, or he and then moves out, that would be ideal. But it's like I say, the best thing rather is just to close the doors and make sure that you don't get a leopard into your room at all. That's probably the best advice I have for you, is don't leave doors open. Funnily enough, I was just talking about doors and things like that. I don't know how to describe them. This might get me in trouble, but I find the spawn of Satan, that is baboons, they are quite something, and they are horrendous around camp, and they irritate a lot of kind of things about them irritate me at the moment. And this is why. This is this morning. This is now at Inga's. This is what they have done this morning. This is an aluminium door frame, right, that they have, because it's locked and they want to get into the kitchen there, they have ripped the entire door frame and bent it just to get inside. So I'll try and find the other photo. There's the other photo, so you can actually see what they've done. This is where the door mechanism is, where it opens. So what they've done is they've come in and they've just bent the entire thing off the hinges and broken the entire door just to get in. And so this is what baboons do. They, you know, monkeys are one thing, a monkey will get in and it'll steal a banana or something, and it'll be fairly funny. These guys drive me crazy, and so just thinking about things in rooms made me think about the baboons, and now I'm actually angry about it because they are just an absolute pain, because there's nothing you can actually do with them. When they get like this, they start to just be destructive as all hell, and it really can be quite tricky to stop them. We need rain now and fruits to come so that they start leaving the kind of rooms alone and stop trying to get in there. Anyway, while we think about how we will kind of deter the baboons from this area, let's send you back across to Brent, who I suppose has got the best deterrent, 2 leopards.
Yes, definitely a very good baboon deterrent. And it's not 1 but 2 leopards. There's little Kalamba draped over that fallen marula branch, looking quite comfortable after all the busyness of earlier. Both Thandi and Kalamba are looking very, very relaxed in their current position. Well, we've been absolutely spoilt this morning, and thank you to the kudu for barking at Hosana. Now, where we left Hosana was actually just there, but he was heading due east, and he went into a little ravine we couldn't follow there, but I'm sure we'll probably find him again this afternoon. He might loop back on this cool day towards the dam cam, and let's hope, fingers crossed, that these 2 beautiful cats decide to come back to Juma and to the during the day. So hopefully they'll be on Juma this afternoon. They look quite hungry, so with this cool weather there's a very strong possibility that they are, or Thandi at least, will hunt and be on the move during the day today. So fingers crossed that she comes hunting to the south of where she is at the moment. But what a wonderful morning we've had. A Voca male with Tristan, Hosana, Thandi, Kalamba, the odd elephant, and Sydney keeping you entertained on foot, perched upon a termite mound. But for us, we're going to say bye, and we'll see you in a few short hours for the Sunset Safari.